He shirt, she shirt sells seashells at the he shirt.
No,
the
no.
she shirt, he shirt.
He shirt, she shirt sells he shirt, she shirts down by the he shirt or he shirt, she shirt shore.
That's all you, brother. I got nothing.
All right. Do you like getting massive wood just looking at a shirt?
Yes.
Especially a shirt on a bearded man?
Yes.
Then you should buy a new JSG shirt from HeShirtSheShirt.com and not send it to Laz, who cannot grow a beard. But you can see one on Mr. Elmer Fudd, and there is a scientific proof showing that you will get wood from seeing that. Even the ladies. So go to HeShirtSheShirt.com and buy a JSG shirt for someone bearded that you know. Now, please enjoy this episode of the JSG cast, and remember, they most certainly are not sponsored by Hefty because they have no need for trash bag pandas or trash bag sized condoms.
Yeah, because have a yeah. But no, and seriously though, you don't have to have a beard to buy a shirt. You should just buy one.
Right. Well, I don't have a beard, and mine I think shipped yesterday.
Okay, it should be there pretty. Because I don't know if you saw Risen Phoenix got his. And he was tagging everyone on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
And his came with, so I think he's just fun little surprise at Mr. He Shirt, She Shirt. Just threw in like a bunch of other stuff with everyone's shirts. So like,
oh really?
The decals and stuff should be coming with your shirts, and I think like cool. A patch or something. There was something else in there. But yeah, cool. So you threw some like extra swag in with everyone's shirt, which is super cool.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, "You are doing what, you big goober?"
Oh, so. Also, I don't think it was mentioned in the ad read, but if you enter JSG Cast, you get 10% off of your shirt.
That is true.
Not just the JSG shirts,
but any shirt. True, which they have a plethora.
And they have some good ones.
They do. Did you look through there?
I did. There were quite a few that I liked that I'm probably going to get. I want to get my JSG shirt first. Lindsay actually wanted one because I was telling her, I was like all excited. I was like, hey, I'm getting a shirt and it's our shirt.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, did you get me one? And I was like, I didn't know you wanted one.
I would gladly do that, yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it's your brand. And I was like,
that's so sweet.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it's yours and mine, but okay. You're so supportive. I have such a good wife.
That's so sweet. You do. She's awesome.
Sweet. She literally is very awesome.
So I just looked it up. They have 528 different designs of shirts.
That is impressive.
And if you do get in contact with them, they are easy to work with. If you have your own custom design you want to do and work out and get your own shirt. So they got everything you need. HeShirtSheShirt.com.
Hybrid Trends is just a stand-up guy. Just
absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad
that man needs a hefty bag for a condom because his dick,
I'm telling you,
massive. The dude's got that big dick energy.
Is it hefty?
It's hefty, brother. We're talking like
hefty.
Like a 19-pound sturgeon from Red Dead. You know what I mean? Just two hands.
It's not wimpy. It's hefty.
That was great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 91 of Just Some Guardians. Man, we are live here. I know. We are live here over at the old twitch.tv/JustSomeGuardians. It's currently Friday night, almost midnight Eastern.
F-R-I-D-A-Y.
What was the Friday night? There was a good Friday night song. I can't remember what it was. Not the Friday, not that one. What was the other one?
Not Jessica Black.
No, not Jessica Black.
Was that what her name was? I feel like that's what her name was.
I think that's what her name was. You do.
But now that's all I can think of.
Friday.
I gotta get down on Fridays.
No, I just want to keep doing SATUR.
Night.
It's just a Saturday night. Friday.
Dude, I remember us going out on Saturday nights and we would pump that tune up.
A-D-Y. And the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
Oh yeah, that was one we'd listen to.
Boys are back in town. I think it was from the 70s. Friday. Not Friday. Not thank God it's Friday. I'm gonna spend the entire podcast figuring out what song I'm trying to think of. Oh well.
I got him distracted, guys. It's
living it
really
up.
all my
There we
fault.
go. Living it up. Oh yeah. Friday night. That song. Bella and
It
James.
sounds vaguely familiar.
1979. Living it up Friday night. That's the song I was thinking of.
I know I've heard it. I just, for the life of me, I don't remember. I'll look it up. I'll look it up later.
It's just a jukebox constantly running in here. I was streaming Sea of Thieves
I know.
the other night with Claire Knight, and just from mid conversation, a word would pop up. You know, you just have a night where like anything reminds you of a song. 17 songs came out of nowhere that night in like a 2-hour span. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember a few gaming nights where we just sang to each other
the whole time,
the entire night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, easily.
It's bad when we get together like that.
No, it's the
People
best.
are like, please stop singing.
Like, never.
It's the best for us.
With what? Yeah, the grunting is definitely part of it. Oh, man. Russell? Hey, folks, it's the effervescent Russell, and I'm ELMMERFUDD. How are you? How's your week, brother?
It's been good. It's been crazy busy.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I've got everything down to a schedule. So I have my things, this is what I do every day. This is boom, boom, boom. So it hasn't felt like as much as it has in the past because work is crazy. It's always crazy. But it's been a really good week. I met a lot of the goals that I set for the week, which has been awesome. It's been a great week. How's yours been?
Good, dude. It's been pretty good. I had so I'm in a ankle brace instead of the big old boot now for my
Oh yeah,
my
are
ankle.
you back at work yet?
Not yet. No, hopefully next week. So I've been going to physical therapy, and so the other day was it's been kind of like range of motion stuff again after being stuck in a boot. Those muscles just get tightened up.
Oh yeah.
And so yesterday was all like strengthening for the first time. Man, I was hurting after that. But it felt so good during it. I was like, oh my God, I'm able to actually do I could feel how weak, my foot was. They're doing the whole, push this way against my hand. And I'm like, I know I'm trying, but nothing's happening, and it's frustrating, but.
Is this your wonky foot? Or is it the other foot that's the wonky foot?
I have a wonky foot?
The one that tilts. You have a real wonky foot. Because remember there was that one time I thought I did. Okay, remember that one time we switched shoes?
Okay.
And this was way back in high school.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
No.
We switched shoes.
Okay.
There was a day, and I have no idea why we did it, because we did a lot of crazy things just for the heck of it.
Yeah,
we had switched shoes,
is
so I'm wearing crazy. Well, I mean, we stood at the top of the stairs to try to get girls' phone numbers. Like, remember we had that contest that one time?
Yeah.
Or who could get the most hugs, or whatever.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah. We had switched shoes one time. I don't remember why. I was wearing your Vans. I think something on my shoe broke, and so we had one shoe from each other.
Yeah.
So we had a regular shoe, and then we had swapped. Anyway, you're the whole time I'm walking in your shoe, because your foot goes like this instead of like this. It goes like this. So the whole time I felt
audio
like
listeners, he turned his hand at an extreme degree that can't possibly be fucking true.
Oh. No, it is. It is totally true. Because the whole time I'm walking, I felt like I was leaning. I was like, what is going on with this shoe? Of course, your feet are also bigger than mine, so that could have partly been it. But yeah, your foot,
is that same day I decided to put a banana in one of my shoes? And so
I don't think so.
I think you were just feeling the banana. It wasn't that my foot's crooked.
No.
There was just a banana definitely in the
Your
shoe.
Your foot is totally crooked.
I've lived with my foot my whole life, and no one has ever mentioned this. This is the first time I've ever heard of this.
I don't think anybody's ever actually worn your shoes, though, because that was how I could tell, because the depression, how your shoe soles.
My depression? Yeah, I'm well aware.
Yeah, well. But yeah, there was definitely a huge depression where the arch of your foot just sat, and it felt like you walked on the side of your feet. Because the whole time I'm like, why? What is happening? Why am I walking on the side of my foot? And then I figured that it was because you're.
I was skateboarding a ton, so maybe just from like doing shit like that wore out,
and that makes
constantly
sense.
moving my foot.
Yeah,
because I feel like if my foot was literally that extreme of a degree, someone would have said something by now in my life.
You would think.
Like I'd go swimming and someone's like, "Why is that guy's foot at an extreme degree that doesn't make any sense?"
Why can I swim really well to the side, but not forward or backward?
Every time I swim, I'm slowly turning left. No matter what I do, I'm just going in circles, around and around and around.
Yeah, maybe my foot. Maybe Mitchie's right. Maybe it's my foot that's crooked.
Yeah,
and yours is just normal. That could totally be it.
I'm gonna go with that.
I'm pretty weird. Cool. What were we talking about?
I'm very self-conscious of my foot now. I was talking about physical therapy for my foot.
Yeah. Okay, so it's going well though.
So that's been going really well. It's been super cool to kind of a bunch of like strengthening exercises and working on it, which hurts, but it hurt. It's like that that good hurt. Where you're like, finally, like I'm getting motion with my foot again. Like when you see that light at the end of the tunnel, and you're like, I just want to be normal. I want to go back to work. So I go in again Monday to see the doctor, and God, I'm hoping they're like, yeah, you're good to go, because. Man, I hate my job.
Has it been nice?
I hate my job, and I love being at home. But it's a weird mental thing. You hate your job until you're not there for like a month, and you're like, I just want to be back at work. Stockholm syndrome.
Well, I get it. I do get it, because there is a part of you that wants to be busy.
Yeah.
And doing something, instead of, because it is nice. Like, because there have been a few times where, because I'm a contractor.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, there will be, a couple of months in between jobs or something like that. And it's nice. But then at a certain point, you're like, I need to be doing something. Of course, for me, it was also because we were running out of money. So it's like, okay,
give me back in work now. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Please. I need money. I need money.
You got any more of those jobs? Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. But yeah, so that's going good. Been playing a ton of Sea of Thieves this week because they had their.
I saw that.
Yeah. So Sea of Thieves started a seasons thing now instead of just throwing content out, ever so often. So there's like a battle pass. Sure. Which, when you were reading, it was interesting. We spent a whole stream where we just read like all the information we could about it, and it sounded awful. Like how they described it, how this article interviewed people. It sounded terrible. And then once you got it, you're like, this is awesome. You get something every single rank for free. You just get stuff, and there's only 11 items that are in the pass if you pay for it. There's 100 levels, only 11 things are if you pay for the pass. And they're like, it's like a cool, it's a cool pistol, sniper rifle, like I think like a sailor or a costume. So like it is cool stuff, but it's not, most battle passes where if you do the free version, it's like every 15 levels you get some, like like an eye patch, and then if you pay, you get stuff every level. It's kind of the opposite version.
I feel like you're talking about RDO very specifically.
Well, actually, every battle pass does that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Zombies.
Yeah.
And it like every 5 levels is where I get a free thing.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
But then they're showing me exactly what I could be earning if I had the season pass.
Mm-hmm. Look how cool and shiny you could have. Yeah. But, and the other cool thing is that it's just completely separate. Like that has nothing to do with seasons. Like obviously with the BR, the whole point of a season is to unlock everything in the pass. But so Sea of Thieves, they'll have a content drop with something going on. They'll still have their events that happen all the time in the game. And then that's just kind of a separate caveat if you want it, which I really do. Yeah. I don't know who their PR guy was and who they had being interviewed, but they did a terrible job explaining how it was going to work. It sounded awful. We all went to bed that night going, I'm going to hate this season. And then woke up playing it winning. This is incredible.
That might have been a good strategy though. undersell, over deliver.
Yeah, but there's a difference between underselling and like looking into a camera for your commercial and saying, "Don't fucking buy our product. It's garbage." Like,
yes, you are correct. There is a difference between those two things. Not only the F word, but also.
Yeah. It's just like, who, what? Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's been really good. I've been really enjoying it. Then obviously, all the RDO, Red Dead Online, crazy stuff. My brother got into it this week.
I don't even want to talk about it. Yeah, I know.
There's just so many of us
playing
having
it
fun
right now.
Oh my god, dude! There's just so many of us just enjoying time together, being outlaws together. It's great.
You
if you hadn't got a PS5, you could have got a PC.
Okay, PS5 was $500.
You could run RDO on a 500 PC easily.
I don't. But the difference is if I'm going to invest in a PC,
no, I get you.
I want a top of the line, big mother trucker PC, and so like I could buy the stuff, but you know me, I know you. If I'm going to invest in something, I'm going to invest some change in it. Once I get her credit card paid off, which should happen with her tax rebate, because we've been getting about $5,000 back a year. So that'll go there, and then I'll start building my PC.
Okay, good. I can't wait, dude. I'm excited.
I'm hoping I should have one by the end of the year.
Good. That'd be awesome, dude. I would love that so much.
I would too. Not that I have a lot of time to play, but I usually get on for like 30 minutes. So I've been playing Assassin's Creed lately.
Yeah.
Of course, because I'm trying to play through. I have like a backlog of games. I had gotten Assassin's Creed when the PS5 came out. I got Demon's Souls, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty Warfare, or not Warfare, Call of Duty
Cold
Black
War.
Ops. Right, Black Ops, Cold War.
Okay,
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Because the haptic triggers. Now it's really cool because actually, we talked about this before. So I've been playing it through Assassin's Creed, but lately I've only had like 10-20 minutes to play, like while I'm waiting on Lindsay to get home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been doing a lot of zombies lately, which is I love the monotony of it. That makes any sense.
Yeah, well, no, when you have a game like that, it's easy to, when you're in your situation, to just drop in for 20 minutes and
I know what's going on. I'm just trying to do better than I did before.
Yeah.
So it's really just against me because I never go into the public arenas or anything. It's always private, so it's just me. So I'm constantly just trying to do better than I did before and refining. I'm going to run here first, or I'm going to spend this many rounds in this place, and then because it makes it easier to go boom, 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 and So that's been a lot of fun.
That's what makes Call of Duty really good, especially over the years, is like having that where you're instantly, you press a button, boom, you're in the action. You got 20 minutes, okay, I can play like 2 rounds real quick, boom, you're done. Whereas like something,
and
like
I'm just a big fan of the zombies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Where something like Sea of Thieves though, like, because it takes so long to get anywhere and then do anything, like that's not a game you can go, I have half an hour, let's just jump in and see what happens. Like you have to dedicate like 3 hours. Yeah. So that would be
fine if I were playing with other people.
Yeah.
Is Call of Duty? It's crossplay, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So you should get it, and then we can play zombies together.
I don't want to spend $60 just to play zombies, though.
Oh, but it's worth it.
I get that.
I literally spent $60 on this game just to play zombies. I have played like 5 minutes of the campaign, and the rest of my time spent playing Call of Duty has been playing the zombies mode.
I do want to check out that campaign. The Modern Warfare campaign was probably one of the best COD campaigns I've had in a very long time.
So far, the campaign's really good.
Yeah. Oh, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. But
so far, it's really good. The different characters are really interesting. There's kind of an interesting story going on that I've only picked. I mean, I've only played like the first couple of missions.
Yeah.
But there's a weird thing going on that I'm like, I think I know what's happening, but I'm not positive. But it's really weird. I feel like Black Ops, they always did like they kind of did the weird kind of.
Nothing in the story makes sense until the end. You're like, wait a second, it's all coming together.
Oh my gosh!
They did it.
What? Anyway,
yeah.
I think we were gonna talk. We had a specific topic that we were gonna talk about tonight, right?
We did, yeah, and it was
okay.
You had brought it up. Do you want to take the lead? Is this your time?
I guess we're done BSing for a minute at the very least. We'll probably get distracted.
Literally
in
a
the
minute.
future.
Yeah, exactly. Give it 60 seconds.
But so tonight we wanted to talk about The Mandalorian.
What?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the insanely successful Disney Plus show?
No, I'm actually talking about the one that's only done so-so.
Oh, yeah.
That not a lot of people have heard about. It is also on Disney Plus. But yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about John Wick tonight. I saw your notes and I read Baby Yoda as Baba Yaga, and I just totally got confused.
You know what? I think we totally should do a John Wick. Also, there's a new movie coming out. I think it's coming out this month. Nobody?
Oh, I don't know. Nobody. They are doing another. I think another John Wick movie is coming out this year.
They are doing another movie. John Wick, which is supposed to be maybe coming out. But this is from.
Oh, I did see
from
the
producer, the director.
Yeah.
It looks really good. Like really where the guy is like a nobody, but then it turns out that I think he calls himself like an auditor or something. Yeah. Something that starts with an A. And he's like, yeah, I used to work for the mob and I'm tired of just being a nobody. So here we go and screw everybody. Like, where my favorite line from the commercial was, where is the kitty cat bracelet? Dad, they took my kitty cat bracelet.
And when's the last time you saw Bob Odenkirk in something? Like, I didn't expect to see him.
It's been a minute. I think Better Call Saul. And then I think I've seen him in like some minor roles and a couple of things.
Looks like I'm looking at he was in Girlfriend's Day in 2017. And before that, it was like 2014 was the last thing he did before that. So yeah, it's definitely been a hot minute.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Anyway, though, we were talking about The Mandalorian, but I would definitely
Baba
recommend
Yaga.
that you go see the preview for Nobody.
I had to sneak that joke in there. Thanks.
Right. Yeah, Baba Yaga. You're welcome. So we figured let's start out.
Let's do that.
What are the Mandalorians?
They're just really cool bounty hunter dudes that just were introduced during the Christmas special.
You would go there. Was that the first? That was the first
time
Boba Fett, right?
Yeah. And people liked him so much that's why he got put in. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Now, see, I didn't know that. I knew because he shows up the first time in the canon because the Star Wars Christmas special is no longer canon.
What?
Because apparently it was that bad.
Have you not seen it?
No.
Oh, it's bad.
I believe you.
Okay, good.
And I don't want to ruin Star Wars forever for me, which is why I have not watched it.
Oh, God. You can just see the pain on everyone's faces the whole time.
Because it had Han Solo, or it had...
Everyone's in it. Sorry. Yeah. Harrison Ford.
It has Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher. And I mean, but that was also back when they were still relatively unknown. Harrison Ford was probably the only person that was starting to get well known at that time.
Because I think that first Indiana Jones movie had already come out.
I think it came out, in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, right?
Yeah, I think so. So that was like he was a big name.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Boba Fett shows up in there. And then they're like, "Oh,
Empire
really
Strikes
cool.
Back, right?
Empire Strikes Back, yeah, in the Christmas special." And everyone's like, "That's a really interesting character." And so that's when they kind of formed Boba Fett, and then that whole, history and stuff behind it.
He has such a classic look. I mean, that Roman centurion helmet that he's got, with kind of this sci-fi armor going on.
Yeah.
It's a really cool look.
Well, and the interesting thing with Boba, because we'll talk about something that in the Mandalorian later, but you knew it never had to show him being like, he never had a big fight moment. He fired his blaster like twice, but because of his status with Jabba the Hutt, who were shown to be powerful, and then the right hand man for Darth Vader for a second, and then just the amount of scars or battle scars on his armor, like, it was a beautifully set tone where we all respected him and knew he was tough, but they never had to show it.
It's a wonderful element of movie storytelling, where you can tell an entire story with just the appearance of an object.
Brilliant.
Because, I mean, you never see his face. He never gives any facial expressions. It is body language and the care that went into his costume.
Yeah.
They told an entire story with it that everybody was captivated with, which is amazing. But going further back, so
yeah,
we
who
have
are Mandalorians?
The canon Empire, right? So for this, we kind of, Disney did a lot of stuff where they reworked and they said, okay, we're going to get rid of a lot of the comic books and stuff like that so we can start over with our own canon. But from what we know of the Mandalorians, they're not a race or a species, although they did used to originate from a planet called Mandalore.
Aptly named.
Exactly. And I believe, if I remember correctly, because I know a good bit about this, but Mandalore, the Mandalore, was he was this almost a godlike figure to a lot of these people that ended up getting wrapped up in these wars. They started off as mercenaries, they ended up with this planet, and their credo is basically kill everybody else. And they really had a beef with the Jedi. In fact, a lot of times throughout the history, they ended up on the side of the Sith. The Sith hired them constantly to be like, hey, we need you. And they were Jedi killers. They were Force, I should say. They were people who they were wizard killers.
Yeah, basically. Whatever. Exactly. They were specially trained to fight a force that no one else could fight.
Right. Right. And so, I mean, you saw it over and over, like the Mandalorians would come in and the Jedi would be like, crap. And then basically,
here we go again.
They would push them to the point of extinction. And then because they're Jedi, they'd be like, hey, we're good now. We're good. Yeah. And then the Mandalorians would be like, you guys suck. We're going to build up an army and then we're going to come and kill you guys again. And it was just that same cycle over and over and over. And eventually, so it used to be that they would pass down a helmet and that would be the Mandalore. That would be the symbol of the Mandalore, because whoever became the leader became the Mandalore.
Yeah. It's kind of like they handed off the mantle lore.
Nah.
All right.
That you did that so well.
Thanks.
It's a little scary. So then we have this Jedi. We have somebody who finally grows up within the Mandalorians who is Force sensitive. And he goes off to the Jedi Temple, and eventually he comes back and he has created this object called the Dark Saber. Which is, in my opinion, probably the coolest lightsaber ever.
It's not a lightsaber, it's a dark saber. It's literally in the name.
It's the Dark Saber, but it is made with the technology of a lightsaber and functions very similarly to a lightsaber.
I had
but the appearance of it is very cool, because instead of having the elongated cylindrical blade that most lightsabers has, it actually looks like a scimitar
sword. Yeah, it's a much thicker looking blade
Right.
Had a hilt where no other saber
Right.
did. You know. Oh
Right.
yeah.
And even its appearance, it was very square.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like a blade when the saber itself ignites. And not only that, but I believe it's the only black saber
Truth.
in Star Wars, or at least that
I'm
we've seen so
pretty
far.
positive. I will look that up right now.
So we have this saber that then, because then he comes back and he ends up becoming the Mandalore. Eventually he dies, and then that becomes the symbol of the Mandalore. It begins to be passed down from person to person. And the lore with it is only the only person worthy of being the Mandalore is somebody who takes it by force.
And yep, it's the only one.
Yeah. Which means it's probably made of some special crystal that we really don't know about yet. I mean, it would be interesting to get a history on that. I don't think there is one. It's kind of this mysterious object.
I'm sure it's going to come down to one of those like the Jedi are like, ooh, that crystal, you know, with stories, and the Sith are like, ooh, crystal that with stories, and the Mandalorians were like, it's a fucking rock, and just like grabbed it and went whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
just totally. I could totally see a Mandalorian doing that, because they do kind of seem to have this kind of irreverence.
Yeah, it exists. Why
that
don't we
seems
use
to be
it?
a part of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So eventually they have the planet Mandalorian, and then so we get to the Clone Wars. And the Mandalorians have mostly become a peaceful place now, and you know a little bit more about this than I do.
No,
I believe you've seen this arc. No, okay,
no.
okay. So
no, that's why when I texted you
now,
earlier, if you'd seen it, that's because I hadn't.
Okay.
I was like, oh, this would be interesting if you had and I hadn't, because this would be stuff I don't know.
Okay. So I know like the story arc. So basically, what happens is Obi-Wan and I believe Anakin. It mostly, that story arc kind of focuses mostly around Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan and the Duchess, I think, is what they end up calling her, who is the Duchess of Mandalore.
Oh,
no, that's another thing. You had me for a
Gotcha.
second. I was like, Canterbury.
She was really good with eggs.
I believe the planet's called Mandalore.
Yes, the planet is called Mandalore. Correct.
Okay. And so they had become a more peaceful people. They were no longer mercenaries. They still had the armor that was typical to their identity, their culture.
Yeah.
But they were much. She was bringing a much more internal focus to get their stuff in order, become members of the Galactic. At the time, the the Republic.
Yeah. The Galactic
and
Republic.
So, right, she was bringing an era of peace. There were people who didn't like this. They were the Death Watch.
Yes. Ooh, I actually was just reading that.
And they started a revolution against this, and it involved Obi-Wan. The leader of the Death Watch actually had the Darksaber, which it kind of disappears and then comes back and then disappears. It's kind of one of those things that shows up when the Mandalorians need it the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy had it, and his thing was, I'm gonna. They were basically terrorists acting against the government that the Duchess had established to bring about the old ways of the Mandalorians, which is war and conquest. And so Obi-Wan defeats that guy. I think he takes up the Darksaber and returns it to the Duchess. Now,
and no one has an issue with that, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, cool, which makes other stuff weird.
Well, I think because technically, like, he could give it to her, but I think a lot of the people that were still steeped in Mandalorian culture still saw like Obi-Wan as the true owner, because, as we stated earlier, you can't be the true owner of the Darksaber unless you've taken it through conquest, basically. And so I think they just kind of deferred to Obi-Wan. Plus, because everybody was starting to become more peaceful, and they're like, we should abandon our old traditions, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the arc that took place. in that arc, you have, oh gosh, what's her name? Bo-Katan. I kept wanting to call her Bo-Baton, but that's Harry Potter. That's Harry Potter. That's not. So Bo-Katan, I think she was the daughter of the Duchess or a niece.
I will find out for you. You keep going.
She was the heir apparent to the Duchess. Anyway, we move further in, and eventually the Empire takes they take control of the Republic. Everything starts to happen. We're moving into Revenge of the Sith, Queen Revenge of the Sith, and A New Hope.
She was the leader of the Night Owls and a lieutenant in Death Watch.
Oh, okay. So she was actually in Death Watch, which would mean that she would have very little to do with the Duchess, but it would make sense why she would want to have the Darksaber so bad.
Yeah.
I think she did help Obi-Wan. Like, I think she was sympathetic.
She did a bit. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the stuff I'm going to pipe in during this segment is stuff like while Mandalorian was happening, when I was floating through TikTok and people were just posting scenes from the show, from the Clone Wars TV show, but like, oh, this makes sense now. And
Clone
I was
Wars.
like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. So like, that's all the info I have is just like 30 seconds of someone going, look at this. So.
And that's a good point. The Mandalorian, especially the second season, ties heavily into some of the events that took place during the Clone Wars animated series.
Yeah.
Which, if you can get past the first couple of seasons, is actually really great.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But the first couple of seasons they were geared towards kids, and then I think they realized, there are a lot of adults that probably appreciate this a little bit more, or at least older kids.
Yeah.
And so it grew into a much, it got darker, it got grittier, it kind of addressed some different issues. Because then we also see Ahsoka. Now, the important piece with Ahsoka in the Clone Wars is that she left the Jedi Order after being accused of trying to bomb it.
Yes.
So she just straight up was like, peace out, I'm out of here, screw you guys. Because she didn't feel like the Jedi, she felt like they were hypocrites.
Yeah.
She had kind of started to become disillusioned.
It was interesting because like Anakin went through the same thing, but he went, well, I guess it's time to go dark side, and she went through the exact same thing.
Right.
Like, well, I think everyone's wrong. Peace. Smart.
Yeah. Which makes her a cool character, and there have been some speculation about Grey Jedi and stuff like that. It's not really pertinent to the Mandalorian, so I won't go into it too much. But it's pretty cool, so I would recommend going back and at least watching that part of it. Anyway, so we move on, and we know that at some point between Revenge of the Sith and shortly after Return of the Jedi, that the Empire attacked Mandalore
and basically blew it to hell, made it a wasteland, right?
Yeah, and like slagged it, and then because in the Mandalorian they're searching for it, so apparently they hid it, like erased it from records, so that it couldn't be found.
Yeah. Now,
Bo-Katan, I think she hinted that she knew where it was, or she knew where more Mandalorians were.
I think she knew, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm sure if we're wrong, email us. I know you will. But I'm pretty sure she knew where she could find out.
Okay.
Which I think was one of the main reasons she wanted to, spoiler later, get the frigate, was to help her get to finding out where it is.
Right. And this is important because a lot of people would be like, oh, well, because like when we talk about like Force Awakens and things like that, people are like, how could you hide a planet? But you got to remember, these people are using hyperspace travel, which involved plotting out different points, because you couldn't, when you jump, you could not go through another object's space.
Yeah.
Or you would die because you're moving at light speed.
Exactly.
So they had to plot routes that would be segments of, we're going to jump to hyperspace here, and then here, and then here, and then here, which is interesting because most people think that the Kessel Run being done in 12 parsecs is a unit of time. It's actually a number of jumps.
Correct. And
So
something else to remember with the hiding a planet is Camino, where they were doing all the clones. That was completely hidden from all records. Like it's been done.
Right.
Just at
a
much bigger scale.
Right. Because if you don't know where it is in relation to other things, it would be very hard to jump to.
Exactly.
You wouldn't know how to plot a course through the star system to be able to get there. Anyway, sorry, we are super nerds.
Yeah.
We love it.
I'm in your eye. Like I'm just eye contact and this is happening.
We'll
get to the actual Mandalorian show soon, promise.
Right. I wanted to give a history because there's a lot that happens in the Mandalorian that is so juicy.
Especially the season, the last season we had was like,
oh yeah,
the first season was like its own thing with like a couple moments you're like, oh, that's a nice hint, and season 2 was like, hey, here's all that Clone Wars lore, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so we know that Mandalore, the planet, was attacked. It was slagged. It was hidden.
Yeah.
The Mandalorians, those that survived, scattered and went into hiding. And that happened sometime between the Clone Wars and Return of the Jedi. We know that because of what happened in the second season. So then let's talk The Mandalorian, the show.
Yeah. Which was announced, and obviously a lot of hype. Its character no one knew, but a premise that we were all obsessed with. I thought Boba Fett was awesome, but Jango Fett for me as a kid was like the thing. I really liked for Jango Fett.
Updated look. Jango Fett was really. I love the twin blasters.
Yes. Oh my god, dude. The twin blasters, just the shining armor with the extra armor pieces around. You got to see, Slave One. What was it? This is a bad nerd moment. I'm sorry. But what was it called when it was Jango's ship? It wasn't Slave One, was it?
It was still Slave One.
Was it still Slave One? I thought he renamed it.
So it was Slave One. So there was a game called Bounty Hunter.
Correct.
In which you played as Jango Fett.
Which had the worst control scheme of all time.
So they actually have a port for it for PS5. It was on PS Now.
Yeah, and it's good.
And so I started playing it. I love how they just throw hordes of enemies at you, and you just boom, 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 and you're just running through them and killing and just bodies are dropping everywhere. There are some cool moments. Yes, the control scheme sucks.
Yeah, I remember that.
Once you get used to it, it's a little bit better, and you can feel really awesome at times. But yeah, it was the control scheme was way wonky.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
but yeah, he gets it. So it shows him getting Slave One.
Okay, cool.
And it is actually Slave One.
But yeah, so we don't, it's a character we don't know at all. But it's, it's a premise like everyone's obsessed with Mandalorians, right? So to have
it was a great blend, too.
Yeah.
Of the kind of look of Jango Fett and the kind of look of Boba Fett, because when you first see him, he has, his armor is all battle scarred. It looks kind of similar to the way Boba Fett's looked, but he had that nice, clean T helmet like Jango Fett had.
It was very base. There was not really a lot of markings. It didn't have any of the paint symbols, any of that. But so the Mandalorian TV show drops season 1. We all jump into it, and it's just like we're like, this is a show about a side character, which is a badass side character. You were used to watching anything Star Wars, and it's like everything that this person we're watching does will affect the entire universe. The Skywalker, and they go from that to a guy who's like in the most remote planet ever, picking up a random bounty at this bar with 4 dudes in it. Like, that's the intro.
I love what they did because it has this great blend of Western and like samurai.
Yes.
Kind of the Lone Ronin kind of thing. And I love the way that it opens with him just walking in, and everybody knows he's a Mandalorian because the helmet, right?
You can't not know what a Mandalorian is.
So he walks in and everybody's like, oh, this is not good. Like, you see people like ducking out of the way, and it gave me nostalgic flashbacks to like old westerns.
Oh my God,
where,
yes.
You know, the black hat walks in and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm out. See ya."
I know who this
Peace.
guy is. I'm out. Yeah.
And I love so this first character is like trying to pay him off, and it's like, no, you I'll pay you more if you don't do it, but there's a code. This is the way.
This is the way.
Right? So we get this, boom, right there. He has a code. There's a code of honor, which is, I feel like it's so pivotal to the character. Go ahead.
Well, and the thing I was going to say is the first words you ever heard him say was simply, I forgot his first words. I was thinking it over and over in my head over and over again, but I don't want to get the quote wrong. Hold on. Mandalorian quote.
It's not "this is the way," although that's said a lot.
That's what it I almost said it completely wrong, but his first line and edit point is, "I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold."
Cold.
That's the only thing he says, like the whole first episode.
Man, he's a very quiet character. Like, he doesn't say a lot. So
I
when
think
he does
said
say things,
like one line every episode, which was brilliant that first season.
Oh man, and so they go through these events. So they set him up as this dangerous bounty hunter.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it is because a lot of people are like, oh, I had a friend say to me, he's supposed to be this, badass dude, but he has a lot of troubles throughout the first season, and it's because there's so much weight placed on the reputation of a Mandalorian, because nobody knows his name.
Oh yeah, at all.
And so they're like, he's the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because there's in the sect that he belongs to that took him in as a foundling, only one Mandalorian is out doing things at one time.
Which was another interesting thing of that show.
Side thing thrown in.
Where when he gets back and then it shows him going into the group, the underground sect of his group of Mandalorians. And then you were seeing like 7-8 Mandalorians on the screen at once. And you're like, it's happening.
It's just so juicy. And so you see him, and I love the character progression. So in that first episode, no, it ends up being like the second episode, or
he brings him in the second episode. Yeah.
So he's a bounty hunter, obviously. I don't think we've said that outright, but those who've seen the show,
I think we did. Yeah.
Okay. So he's acting as a bounty hunter, which brilliant move, because it ties back into Boba Fett, and it gives that nostalgia.
That's what these
people a little bit do. But it's a new character, so they get to explore other things.
And we're not going to nitpick every episode because this will be a 5-hour show. But just a nod in that first episode where he had a rack of people frozen in carbonite, just as kind of like a nod.
So
like
awesome.
Just as a nod to like, that's how they like that's the best way to carry your bounties. You don't want to go through space like freeze them. Like he just has a closet, like a push a button and your next coat comes rolling around of just people frozen in carbonite on his ship.
Well, and the funny thing is he goes, and I think he throws in, like, when he goes back to the dealer or whatever, he goes back and he has like 10 of them that he just chucks at him.
Yeah.
I was like, here,
got them all.
Here's all the chits on this bounty. And so they give him one, and the deal is, so he goes and he works for the Empire, and the deal is they will give him this huge amount of Beskar.
Pure Beskar.
Now, pure Beskar.
Yeah.
Now, Beskar is a really cool material that showed up a lot, like in the lore. The Mandalorians specifically, they use this material a lot.
And that's why the galaxy's afraid of them, because they're basically, they're not invincible, but they're very difficult to fight in Beskar.
Well,
yeah. That's what makes them so terrifying.
Because Beskar is resistant to blaster bolts.
Yep.
And not only is it resistant to blaster bolts, but it's one of the only known materials that is resistant to lightsabers too.
Yep.
Which is
the only other thing that's resilient to lightsabers is other lightsabers.
There was also another medal that was actually mentioned. I think it's not canon anymore. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the Sith used it a lot.
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
Beskar though.
I've
Anyway,
never heard that.
but
I'll
that
give it
one
that.
wasn't like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's in not the Rule of Two, Path of. It's Darth Bane. It's in the Darth Bane series. It talks about it.
I'll look it up. That's interesting.
I think it's also mentioned in Knights of the Old Republic, the video game. Anyway, point being, this pure Beskar, super valuable material.
Very valuable.
If I remember correctly, it was only mined on Mandalore too.
Correct. It was the only place you could get it, which is why they were the only culture with that armor, that metal. They never sold it to anybody. The fact that that guy had Beskar means that he had connections high up in the Empire to the planet itself to get it.
Mm-hmm. Which we find out why later.
Yes.
In the season. So the deal is they're going to give him just a crap ton of Beskar. And like they give him a down payment, right? Or is the Beskar that he initially gets, I think it's a
down payment, yeah.
So he goes to the other Mandalorians and they're like, hey, you've earned a shoulder pad. And that's an important thing because throughout the series, he earns more and more pieces of armor and gear,
which is
made out of Beskar.
Your side character in a video game moving through quests to slowly
you're
just watching yourself as a gamer. I was like, I've lived this story.
Yeah. It was just a cool element. So he goes and he's trying to apprehend this bounty, and initially they tell him, oh, this bounty is 50 years old. Because I think there's a question about it being young or something in there, or he said, I don't do younglings or something. I don't know.
I don't remember what. Yeah, it was something like that. And they're like, oh no, it's 50. He's 50, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Which, along with everyone in the audience, we all went, oh, it's going to be some old dude.
Yeah. So he goes to a planet that's kind of Tatooine-esque, kind of deserty. I don't remember what the name of the planet is.
I don't remember either.
He meets one of the coolest characters in Star Wars, who is the short little dude who herds these mounts that are like dinosaur things.
I have spoken.
And like, yeah, I have spoken. That is one of the quotes that he says. And so he's there's this really funny montage of him learning. It's not important to the story, but it is hilarious. So he goes to this outpost. He ends up teaming up with the droids, which we learn that he hates droids. We do know the reason, because droids were the ones who killed his family, right?
Yes, correct.
Because he was a foundling, presumably during the Clone Wars.
Correct, because it's interesting when it shows that flashback. It's the classic. Which battle droid is that from? Like the from the Clone Wars, obviously, but the Trade Federation, right? The big metal dudes. What were they called? Hold on.
I think they. Oh gosh. They were the big ones, the tank big ones that were in the dark gray.
They were the. It'd really help if the internet was kinder to me. But.
Yeah. So we get a flashback. We find out that he's a foundling and that he has been adopted by the Mandalorians. And that's shown through some flashbacks. Anyway. So he hates droids. He ends up teaming up with one to try and get the kid. Well, it turns out that it's a kid. He doesn't know that at the time. But I love the moment where it, like the bassinet, the floating bassinet opens, and you see the baby Yoda, and it's just the one finger reaching out, and then he's kind of reaching his hand toward it, and they kind of do the ET touch. Or actually, it's very reminiscent of what is that painting called? Adam and God on the Sistine Chapel. Mm-hmm. Where they're touching across this space that divides them. And so now he has found this child. Well, he goes to turn it into the Empire, and then he has a moment of conscience, and he destroys the entire. What would you call that? An outpost?
Super battle droid. Sorry.
Super. How was that not a thing?
It's Star Wars. Obviously, it's battle droid and super battle droid. Why didn't we think of that?
battle droid.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It's not a battle droid. It's super battle droid.
I just imagine that pitch meeting where they're like, all right, we need to bring in a new thread. It needs to be a battle droid, but super.
Yeah. What do we name it?
What should we call it? And that one guy goes, oh, super battle droid. And everybody, I imagine it's George Lucas who's sitting there. And like everybody's like, that is the crappiest name we've ever heard. But it's George Lucas. So they're like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes. Call it super battle droid. Because it is indeed super.
Oh, man. All right, let's plow through season 1 as fast as we can.
Okay.
Just a
you
rough
take it
synopsis.
Up from here.
Okay. Rough synopsis. That's where everyone knows the Baby Yoda memes come out, right? There's so much to talk about with season 2. Like that's what we want to get into.
Right.
Rough synopsis. Drops it off, gets the kid, drops it off, feels bad about it, gets his payment, says I can have my cake and eat it too. Goes back, kills a shit ton of stormtroopers.
I love that. That is exactly what he did.
Yeah. Kills a shit ton of stormtroopers, which was super cool to see. Gets Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Is trying to escape. Can't do so. Then all of the Mandalorians from his sect come up and help him escape, which was badass to see 15, 20 Mandalorians working together when, like you said earlier, it's always one that leaves at a time. That's it.
There was an important thing that happened, though, that we forgot to mention. When they're initially on that first planet, he got his ship stolen by Jawas, and then the Jawas were like, we'll give you your stuff back if you go and get an egg for us. He went and fought that Rhino beast.
Yes, and then it showed that Baby Yoda had force abilities.
Right.
Very true.
Because he almost got killed, and then it was able to be stopped because then that becomes his emblem later on.
Correct.
Even though he initially won't accept it because he said he didn't kill it by himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's an important piece to the story.
Baby Yoda has the force, makes Mando go, oh, wow, super cool kid. Kills a bunch of dudes, escapes with it. He's now wanted by the bounty hunter, the Bounty Hunter Association, if you want to call it. So he's got a price on his head. So he's trying to escape, find out where to take the baby, try to survive. Everyone's trying to stop him. He puts some people in jail, gets shot at, la.
Well, he does a jailbreak, and then because they betray him, then he puts them in jail.
Correct.
Like, screw you. And then he gets the battle station blown up.
Yes.
Because he's like... Anyway,
yeah.
Cool
stuff. So basically, he's just outrunning everyone and then goes back to the planet originally to try to stop everything. And then the main villain dude shows up, what was his name again?
I think it's Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, right. So Moff Gideon shows up with a shit ton of clean stormtroopers. Everyone he fought earlier was very dirty. This was Imperial firepower shows up.
Well, and it's important to know this takes place shortly after Return of the Jedi. So the Empire is breaking apart.
Correct.
The Emperor is dead, Darth Vader's dead, the command structure is gone.
Yep. The rebels
they're still
made their own government. Yeah, exactly. Right. Which they touched upon a little bit of showing the kind of the mundane part of now we are the government. We've got to put stuff in place and how spread thin they are and trying to figure it out, which was super interesting. But yeah, so
yeah, I think so too.
And
this is taking place on the Outer Rim, which is the very edges of where the Republic jurisdiction would take place.
Which is why everything's able to happen here. But yeah, so Mando almost dies. He takes his helmet off. My wife shuddered and went, "Oh my God, he's hot." And then he turns out just fine.
Do we see his face in that episode?
Yeah.
I thought we didn't see his face in that episode.
He's covered in blood and his hair super matted. And my wife was literally shook and went, "Oh," and I was like, "Okay, well, all right. We're done with the show."
The guy who plays him, oh gosh, what's his name? He's the same guy who played.
So
I want to call him Oberon.
Pedro Pascal,
but I don't think it's Oberon. Pedro Pascal. He was in Game of Thrones.
He was in Game of Thrones. He was recently in the Wonder Woman movie. He's been in everything.
Narcos.
Yeah, Narcos. Yeah. Very great. Hilarious dude. It's fun. A lot of people didn't really know him very well until Mandalorian, and then everyone the whole culture dove onto him and realized just how sincere and funny and hilarious and everything he is, which has been great. But yeah, so Mando basically takes off in a jetpack and shoots a TIE fighter out of the sky with Moff Gideon in it. And then they...
because now he's gotten the Beskar jetpack. That was the last piece of equipment that he got that's like his leveled up gear.
So they escape, and then the last scene we see is Moff Gideon on the TIE fighter, and then he turns on the Darksaber, which we just talked about, which is a huge deal. And then boom, season end. Like...
Also, really cool moment where they row down a river of lava, and a droid sacrifices itself so that they can get out, because that then changes his mind towards droids, and he's like, droids are okay. They're okay.
That's pretty all right. But so season 1 is basically obviously setting up characters, the fact that Baby Yoda is magic, bringing in the major characters for season 2 and how things are going on from there. So, Moff Gideon. A lot of Imperial power, which was a surprise to, we're all like, oh shit. And then he has the Darksaber, which is a big deal.
Oh, also important point. There's an episode, I won't go into the detail, but he mentions if he takes his helmet off, he can never put it back on again.
I missed that part, I guess.
So it's in the episode where he ends up on like that backwater where they fight against the ATST, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's talking to the lady, and it's not just if he takes it off, but it's like
if someone sees
his face. Takes it off and someone sees his face, he can never put it back on.
Yeah, which is why he was able to put it back on when he took it off when he was dying, because the only person that saw his face was a droid. It
was a droid, right?
Which doesn't count.
Right.
Because they're not people.
Don't at me.
Don't at me. Especially if you're a droid. I'm going to get attacked by Facebook's AI tomorrow.
So also it's important to know that the guild leader in that area for the bounty hunters during that last escapade with the stormtroopers actually sides with the Mando, as they call him. Correct. Or Mando, as they call him. And so they kind of become buddy again, even though the last time he saw him, he definitely shot him. Like
very
in the
much.
gut.
I think he's like set his cloak on fire or something too. Like get out of here and punched him in the face. Yeah. Also a scout trooper punched Baby Yoda, and that was a rough moment.
Oh yeah, and then Mando immediately killed him.
Yeah.
Immediately dead.
Anyway, so that's season 1, right?
Right.
Which that was a few years ago, like the nitty gritty, which now we're getting into the nitty gritty an hour and 20 minutes into the show.
Right, I know.
Hey, okay. I'm not bothered. I got nothing to do tomorrow. It's a long show. Buckle up.
I don't have to be up early.
Go. So season 2, we're on a planet we all know and love. What's the planet called?
Tatooine?
We're on Tatooine.
I know I knew they were in Tatooine at some point.
Yeah. We're back on
and I just
Tatooine, where everything, Anakin, Tatooine, Luke Skywalker, Tatooine.
Yeah.
They end up on Tatooine is a part of everything, which is weird because it's such a small, weird podunk planet, right? But well, I guess not podunk because that's where the Hutt's base is, and they're kind of like one of the most powerful things in the galaxy. But whatever.
Well, there are 3 main cities. There's Mos Eisley, because now he's searching, because the last mission that he was given by the last surviving Mandalorian of his sect was, this is your foundling.
Find its
You're
kind.
responsible for it. Find its kind. This is the way.
Yeah.
Right. Which is their kind of credo for, here are our rules. This is the way, and you follow it. It's not, this is a way. This is the way.
Yeah. So he gets told that he can find out about Jedi, or the first thing he's trying to do is find more of his kind, not Jedi. So he'd found out that there was a Mandalorian on Tatooine.
Because I think he was told that they would know where there would be more Jedi. Correct. Because they have that history, that kind of antagonistic history.
His sect was very hidden away, and other Mandalorians would know where to find a Jedi. So he was trying to find Mandalorians to then find Jedi. So he finds out there's one on Tatooine, which we all in unison went, oh, it's Boba Fett, right?
Wasn't the first episode, though, where he encountered Bo-Katan?
No.
I thought that was the first one where they're on the water planet, because he limps there.
No. First episode was
it's on Tatooine.
The dragon on Tatooine with the Sand People. That was the season opener.
Cool.
Such a great episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So he shows up to try to learn, and we see Boba Fett's helmet come into frame, and we all freak out, and the camera zooms out, and it's, very much not Boba Fett, right? And so Mando doesn't
Timothy
know that,
Oliphant, actually,
which is super cool. And he looked
because
great.
he was a sheriff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
That guy.
So then obviously you find that this is the way dude who's very set in his ways is like, oh my god, you're not a Mandalorian, you're wearing my armor, I'm gonna fucking kill you, right? And
no joke.
And then it's that whole
Timothy Oliphant's like, whoa.
Yeah. And it's that whole we all face it in video games. It's that whole I get where you're coming from. You could kill me, but if you don't kill me, I'll let you do a quest for me. Like,
right.
What?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
I will give you the armor, but
in exchange for you not murdering me,
people.
You also need to do a favor for me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he goes to the Sand People, which turns out he speaks their language, which was dope.
Yeah. So the Sand People language, they had actually brought in because they speak a lot in sign.
Yeah.
In the show, which is part of canon now. And they actually had a deaf person I think he actually played one of the Sand People.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was one of the people that worked with them to create that language.
That's super cool. And the thing I really dug, was how they kind of showed more of the Sand People's culture. Like they weren't just the roving band of evil things. You're like, right. I get it, but at the same time, you're like, they are a people, and there's more to them than you think about, which was interesting. What are you gonna say?
So whenever you think of a Sand person, what weapon are they carrying?
Oh, the staff. Yeah, or the
mace kind of looking thing.
Yeah,
with the pick on one end, and then it has the
or the
blades
super
on
long rifle. It looks like an old flintlock rifle.
Yeah. So I always wondered with the mace type thing why it had that one point, and we get an idea because in the show we see one of them picking a banta's teeth with it.
Yes, we do.
And I was like, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
That's what that point does.
And the dogs are probably getting that whole society thing. So then everyone has this common problem with this huge, Puff the Magic Dragon, right?
Right.
I want to say
I think it was just called a sand
Crate. I knew it started with a K. The Crate Dragon.
Crate Dragon.
This huge monster which had taken over a Sarlacc pit, which we all know from, which one was that in? Empire?
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back, right? So this thing had gone and eaten a Sarlacc, which were like, holy shit, and was messing with everyone.
No, it wasn't Empire Strikes Back. It was Return of the Jedi.
Okay, Return of the Jedi. I believe you.
Because he had become a Jedi. Luke had become a Jedi.
You're right.
He claimed that
he showed up. He was a Jedi. You're right. Return of the Jedi.
I have just left Yoda's and was searching for his.
I have 8 movies and a TV show going through my head at the same time. It's hard to keep track of it all.
Right. Yeah. No. I get it. Yeah.
Gatekeep us. We get it. But this Crate Dragon's bothering everyone. So then he brings the villagers and the Sand People together to fight this thing, which was a super cool sequence. Mando does the classic, give me a bunch of bombs, I'm going to get eaten by it and blow up inside. Flies out of its mouth with his rifle in hand, spins around, boom!
Boom!
Oh! And it was the first time we were seeing Boba Fett's rocket getting launched, which was super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool sequence. Incredible way to start the season. Huge budget for that episode. It was incredible.
This is one thing I don't get. Why does everybody bend over to shoot that rocket off when it's a homing rocket?
That's a good question.
Because it home, like, you lock on somebody and then they always bend over to shoot it off, but it's a homing rocket.
I think, okay, one thing, I'm going to say this. I think, so like a regular rocket launcher, there's a lot of backblast. And so you don't want that hitting something. So I think there's backblast on the rocket launcher. And if you don't, that's just going to burn your ass.
Gonna burn your butt?
Yeah, so you bend over, so the backblast.
Okay.
I'm pulling that out of my ass, but I'm assuming that's the reason.
Yeah.
If not, because it feels like more to it to go locked on fire, maybe.
Because here's the thing. They would always aim it and then lean over, which I know you shoot guns.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you don't aim and then lean over or look away from the shot that you're making.
It's already homed on. Yeah, it's style. They do a backflip and launch it halfway through, and they're like, yeah,
right.
yeah, parkour.
Yeah. So then I think is when he limps over to the water world, right? And that's where he encounters Bo-Katan. Because at this point, his ship is basically wrecked.
So he
no.
So
he ends up on the ice planet.
So he gets Boba Fett's armor, and as he's leaving,
right.
we see a silhouette of a person who turns, and their face. You're like, all right,
and in like the Sand People cloak.
Yeah, I know that face, right?
Oh man,
that
was so awesome.
I had his face. He turned around and split. I stopped and I went. I felt like in Lord of the Rings, when Theoden becomes himself and like touches his niece's face.
Oh yeah,
I know your face. Like I had that moment. I'm like, he's just a simple man trying to make his way through the galaxy. I know that face. Yeah. I know that. That's him. That's gotta be.
I see, and I knew it immediately because I've seen the actor a couple. Because
he was an Aquaman.
He was the actor who played Jango Fett.
Yeah, he was the actor of Jango Fett.
Oh, I didn't know he was in Aquaman.
Yeah, he was the
actor who played Jango Fett. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you were correct. Anyway, and he has no hair. Like you can tell, obviously he had sat in the belly of that Sarlacc pit,
and he's interested
for a minute
because
those who. Yeah, and for those who don't know, the Sarlacc pit, like it digests things. Like if you don't remember, Return of the Jedi mentions that it takes like 100 years for things to digest in a Sarlacc pit. And I think, from what I understand, Boba Fett's the only person to have ever escaped from a Sarlacc pit.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
but anyway,
another fun nod, real quick, before we move away from episode 1. We're not going to go episode to episode. I say that, and we probably are. I think it was in this episode. When they're riding on their speeder bikes, Cobb Vanth, who's the marshal, right, wearing Boba Fett's armor, part of his speeder bike was Anakin Skywalker's pod racer.
Yes.
That was such a cool nod. I was like, oh my God, it's Anakin's pod racer. Like part of his speeder bike was Anakin's pod racer.
The engine.
Yeah, was the engine
from Anakin's pod racer was the speeder bike itself.
Dude, that was such a cool moment. I was like, freaking out. Yeah, fun. A lot of fun.
And I
nods.
wonder. So was it the one, because there was one that like shot off right now?
That was probably that one. No, his.
Yeah.
No, his was intact but he left it and his mom got sold off, and everything. So who knows what happened to the racer? But yeah, that was just a cool nod. It was great.
I'm a pod racer.
Now this is pod racing.
Pod racing. So anyway, so he leaves the planet. He's going somewhere else. He gets shot down by the Republic, now the New Republic.
Yep.
Because they don't recognize his call sign. He ends up wrecking on this planet, crashing through the ice. He ends up because he's trying to transport a lady with eggs,
frog lady.
And Baby Yoda eats almost all of them.
Yes, because he's got another lead on where Mandalorian can be on another planet, but he has to take.
And she's the one who knows where they're at.
Yeah, exactly. So
she has to take him. They can't hyperspace.
Yep.
Because So because of the eggs, he fights off icky ice spiders.
Which, fun fact about the ice spiders, I don't know if you know this.
Ooh. Oh, I don't.
So something I said to Lisa, I have horrible arachnophobia. I hid my face for half that episode and screamed.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I was like, Star Wars,
especially with like the funnel mouth.
Yeah, Star Wars was the only place I knew I was safe from spiders. Why would they do this to me? Right? I was pissed. Everyone uses spiders to scare you. Star Wars didn't. I was proud of that. So I was looking into it. Those beings were from the original concept art of Dagobah, and Luke was going to fight those while looking for Yoda.
Oh.
So that whole sequence was to put in concept art of the original series as a creature. And I was like, all right,
that's pretty cool.
That's fucking dope. I was like,
yeah,
they're terrifying, but I'm like, that's a cool, another cool nod to put in. Like, this is a creature they wanted in Star Wars, and now it is.
I've got to give a shout out to Jon Favreau, who is the showrunner for The Mandalorian.
Who also gave us
Jon Favreau
Elf and the Marvel Universe.
Iron Man?
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
If you enjoy it,
Elf
he's because of it.
Iron Man, and he has an amazing way of picking out, these are the things that people love. You know, like Elf, right? He knew how to capture the essence of that.
Yeah. And
it was the same with Iron Man. I mean, up until that point, Marvel really hadn't gotten a lot of traction. They had Spider-Man, but those movies were okay.
Yeah.
Especially looking back on them. And then when anyway.
Yeah. The dance.
But Iron Man was the real first piece where I think it became more mainstream. Instead of,
it was,
I like comic books, I want to go watch it. It was, this is dope. You know, and I think he has this great way of connecting with audiences and capturing these essences of these movies that we love. He's done that with The Mandalorian.
Yeah, you could tell he did a study what aspects, because the big thing for me with John is like, you can tell he didn't just study Star Wars, like the universe. He studied what part of this makes fan like it. And then if you notice, the pacing of the Mandalorian TV show is more akin to the pacing of the original trilogy. It's a much slower
It's a little
pacing.
slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're a Star Wars fan, you're used to that. Because we'll go through and you watch them all and you're used to the pacing of the classic movies. And yeah, like the color palette, how to do a scene, how to make a monster, what parts of the Star Wars universe people like, and especially the pacing. Like, yeah. He knows what people want, and he makes it, and it's great, beautiful.
Well, and that's, to me, that was really the failing, especially of The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. It was not a Star Wars movie.
It felt like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. Just fast.
Well, Force Awakens was fine. It was at least in line with the essence of Star Wars.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi, which was not J.J. Abrams.
Well, I mean, I was more putting it to when he did the Star Trek remake.
Okay.
Where it was like, Star Trek's always been a slower thing, and that was like, boom, bam, 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 boom.
Well, here was the thing. It was a Marvel movie skinned over with Star Wars.
I will agree
Marvel
to that.
movies have a very specific pacing.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll make fun of their villains. It's just a very different tone. Star Wars has always been a little more serious. They're funny, they're light moments, but it never comes at the expense of the villains.
Correct.
The villains have always been dark and they've had a gravitas.
Yeah. Ooh, good word.
Even in the prequels, they still were dark and they had a gravitas, and they were of a tone with the original trilogy. The Last Jedi was not, never was. I mean, you had this great General Hux, who was a good villain that had been set up in A Force Awakens, and the whole time they crapped on him in The Last Jedi, and it absolutely ruined him, which is probably why he never showed up in Rise of Skywalker. Anyway, rant over. We're going back to the Mandalorian.
Right. Jon Favreau, beautiful man.
Yes.
Anytime that man has an idea, take that phone call.
Yes.
But yeah, so spider things, ship is a mess. They literally crawl to the water planet. Like that ship was. I've never you've never seen a ship that messed up fly through space before.
Like they had to limit to the cockpit because it had so many holes in it.
Exactly.
And it was just, and they only had a certain amount of oxygen, and then they're like, we're gonna have to go into like sleep so that we can get there.
It was a mess.
Anyway, so he finally makes it there. He's like, hey, repair my ship. He goes to find Mandalorians. He gets tricked into going on the ship. They try to kill Baby Yoda. And he's like, I'm going to effing kill you guys. And he's like,
dive straight in.
Right. And the cool thing is this character is still growing. He's not necessarily, like, there are a lot of badass moments, but he's not infallible.
Yeah, he's not.
And I think that's one of the things that works. Yeah. He's kind of becoming them. He's building his own reputation, but we're seeing it go from he's relying mostly on the reputation of the Mandalorians to he's built his own reputation.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what we get at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he dives in, he's trying to rescue Baby Yoda. He comes into contact with Bo-Katan and the rest of what's left of Death Watch.
Which was a cool moment when she took her helmet off. And you're like, yeah.
Well, because remember, if you take your helmet off and somebody sees you, you can't put it back on. So he's like, you're not Mandalorians. And so he immediately goes on the attack and they're like, whoa, we are. You must have belonged to this sect. We never really get a name for that.
Yeah.
Do we?
I'm trying to remember if they did, but it was really interesting because like how they told the story is you were in his head with him. That was the way. You know, because even me and Lisa were like, well, how come Jango Fett didn't have his helmet on when he was talking to people? We didn't have this whole like we just assume, and that could just be us not being super into the lore of Mandalore, because we were like, oh, well then they're not Mandalorians because she took her helmet off. We were right there with them, and then once we learned, we're like, oh, idiots. But yeah, they wrote it in a way where if you didn't know that whole history, you were right there in that moment with him. Like you all gasped when she took her helmet off. Right. You're like, oh, I can't believe she did that, Again, beautiful writing and pacing.
And yeah. So they say, you belong, and I think they hinted that they had been thrown off of Mandalore long before it had been destroyed. Like they were, and who knows why, but there's I'm sure we'll find out and kind of get some more to that story. But anyway, so she says, if you help me, I'll help you. I can tell you where there's a Jedi. He helps her. We come to find out she's after the Darksaber because she wants to be the Mandalore.
Yeah, and basically. She's had it before, correct?
Right.
Okay. So she wants it back.
I think so. I'm not positive on that one. She was close to the person who had it before and has been close to having it previously.
Okay.
I don't know. And her unit is pretty cool too.
They're the Night Owls, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Bo-Katan, Night Owls, yep. Hence the helmet stuff, yeah. God,
well, that's it looked like their helmets and their style of armor looked exactly like it did in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so come to find out she's after the Darksaber. The Mandalorian or Mando doesn't know that. He goes off to then find this Jedi, where he runs into Ahsoka Tano, who is another person from the Clone Wars and who we talked about earlier had left the Jedi. That is probably one of my favorite episodes from the second season. The whole planet, the kind of black and white.
Yeah. Well, the fact, like, when they mentioned the Jedi there and where she was, right? And immediately we all were like, oh, it's Ahsoka. Like, we all guessed it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a big Clone Wars person, but I knew her character, and even I immediately was like, oh my God, I think it's Ahsoka Tano.
Well, Bo-Katan said, tell Ahsoka Bo-Katan.
Oh, did she say that? Oh, I didn't hear that part. I guess I missed that part. But okay. Anyway. But, so the cool thing with episode 4, though, that made me gasp was like, the first second of the show was Ahsoka Tano. It wasn't like Mandalorian shows up, it ramps up, and then she's like, boom, it was me, like out of the gate, it's her killing people, with her lights, like the
Well, and the
classic
cool
white light,
was
her lights,
it,
white lightsaber, and then her slicing people down using the Force. We're like, oh my god, already? Like we're just jumping into this right now?
well, and it kind of felt a little bit like a horror film where
Yeah,
she was the monster chasing down these stormtroopers that are
through the
terrified and trying to run
mist.
away.
Yeah,
Oh man, I loved the whole aesthetic of that episode, that planet, because Ahsoka Tano is a very neutral
mm-hmm.
character, and to be in a place that has such a neutral palette, very, very, very
yeah,
cool.
super cool.
So so the Mando lands. He doesn't know much about Ahsoka, but he gets hired by the mayor of the city to go and kill her. He's like, sure, I'll go and kill her, and then he gets out there and he's like eating his cake and or what's the saying?
Getting his cake and eating it too.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'll have my cake and eat it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Because he's like, yeah. By the way, I don't want to kill you, and they had given him a Beskar spear, which is super cool.
Yeah,
because he has the entire spear made of Beskar. In my opinion, probably cooler than the Darksaber.
Which
anyway,
and I don't know about you, but the second I saw that there was a full spear of Beskar, I was like, Mando's gonna end up with that. You just watch. The second I saw it.
Well, yeah. And so he goes into the woods, he meets Ahsoka, and he's like, hey, Baby Yoda. And we find out that its name is
Grogu.
Grogu, which is, I love that name.
It's a great name.
It fit very well. We find out, so she kind of communicates with Grogu. That's how we find out Baby Yoda's name finally. She says that he was raised on the Jedi Temple when all the younglings were killed. He was captured, I think, and then experimented on. And then, anyway, there was something really bad that happened with him that he's kind of leaning a little bit towards the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been using, the Empire was using him they were using his DNA to try to replicate it and create clones, seemed to be what the indication
was more. I think it was more. They mentioned we got the. They mentioned midichlorians again. I believe was that they were trying to focus not so much the Force, but more the midichlorians into making not so much having their own like crafting Jedi clones, but like super like a bunch of Captain America, the Captain America serum, where you have super soldiers that are Force sensitive. Yeah,
right. And it could tie in with Rise of Skywalker. It could also, because at the end of that episode, so he teams up with Ahsoka. She's like, I'm not going to train him. He could turn to the dark side. This could be bad. So, just here, take him to this planet, have him sit on this rock, send out a signal. A Jedi may show up or something worse.
Yeah.
Which
something
great. Yeah. Thanks, Ahsoka.
Foreshadowing. Yeah. Oh, real quick, I'm just throwing out random dumb trivia for you. So the mayor of that town that had the Beskar spear.
Yes.
That actress is the mother of the original Red Power Ranger.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Just another dumb trivia for you. Yeah.
So they go to the town. They, to kill the mayor and to free the town is kind of the goal there. There's a cool scene that takes place. Actually, quite a few cool scenes.
Really cool scenes.
He basically, yeah. Anyway, they end up winning. They kill it. We find out that Ahsoka is actually looking for Admiral Thrawn.
Which is a big name drop.
It's huge, especially. So there was a series of books. It was a trilogy. I believe it was called the Thrawn Trilogy.
It was called the Thrawn Trilogy, yes.
Where we encounter this really cool, and even in Clone Wars, we saw his planet, and I believe his name was dropped in the Clone Wars too.
Correct, and I don't think he was in Rebels, but I think it was Clone Wars. Yeah.
I think you're right. And so anyway, Thrawn. So in this trilogy, Thrawn is an admiral who basically had gathered a whole bunch of the Empire together and was trying to kill the New Republic. But the cool thing
is he's the only high-ranking alien in the Empire.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because they were
Fun fact:
very
the Empire were
racist.
very racist. Yes.
Racist. He was the highest ranking alien. Anyway, he's super cool because, and the only reason that he made it there was because of his intelligence and his tactics. He's a super scary big deal.
Very, yeah. Not just a big name drop, a terrifying name drop.
So introducing him into this universe could mean that those cloning that's taking place could have something to do with the Thrawn trilogy. Because remember, there was a Dark Jedi that was cloned.
Yes.
In that trilogy called Yormender or something.
Your mama, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, your mama. That sounds right.
Yeah.
It was funny because they had an extra, like in that book series, the clones had like an extra consonant in their name, and that was like there ended up being a clone of Luke, and it was Luke.
Yeah, that's right.
It had an extra two U's or something like that. It was so weird. Timothy Zahn wrote that series.
So good. Anyway,
it's a good series. Go back and read it. It's pretty cool. Except for Luke.
Also, another dumb thing for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So that same episode with Bo-Katan, right? When they're assaulting, the compound. So the head security guy that had the shotgun blaster, which was super cool, by the way.
Yes.
So that is Ringo from Tombstone. That's the same actor.
Oh.
So the whole like Wild West shootout thing between him and Mando at the end was a nod to Tombstone, because that was the actor that did Ringo.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So he gets the Beskar steel. He goes to this planet and he sets Baby Yoda on the stone. Baby Yoda goes into a trance because he's finally figured out how, because Grogu doesn't. It's almost like he's got a block that keeps him from using the Force except in stressful situations.
Because of all the work the tests that have been done, and because of his Force abilities, he had purposely walled them inside so he couldn't be found out. So now it was a whole
right, because he's received 30 years of training. I mean he's probably, but he's built some blocks.
Exactly. Which is why Ahsoka was like the whole "I sense much fear in you," which we all know how that road goes, because Grogu's terrified to show Force because people are using him for it. Yeah, which is a terrifying concept. Darth Baby Yoda.
Right. So Grogu goes into a trance. There's a force field that goes up because Mando's found out how to connect with him and get him to use the Force. So he's broken down some of those walls. But now the Empire knows where Grogu is. They come to attack. But first, Boba Fett shows up. With the Imperial sniper that we saw in the first season, which was a bounty that the Mando went after.
Correct. Which is the original voice actor in the animated movie Mulan.
Oh, another interesting bit of trivia.
That's all I'm bringing to the episode tonight. Yeah. Turns out Mulan's a badass in real life.
Yeah. Which her character is really cool.
Very cool.
Oh man, and we didn't talk about his friend, but I guess that's not really important to the story anyway.
But yeah, so Boba Fett shows up and he's like, "Yo, dog, you got my shit.
You have my armor.
I want it back." And Mando's like, "That ain't yours, dog. Prove it." And so they kind of go at it for a second, and then suddenly, stormtroopers arrive. A ton of them. A ton of them.
A ton of them.
Yeah. It's getting to see that classic, the drop pod. Yeah, metric ton of stormtroopers show up. A drop pod with, like landing a D-Day, stormtroopers come piling out, right? Which is, it was cool. It showed us, that other side of the Empire where you don't really get to see it, But yeah, so then they all fight together.
Because this show doesn't have a lot of dogfights. Like typically in Star Wars, most of the time we saw a lot of airship battles.
Correct.
We didn't see a lot of drop infantry battles except with the Jedi and droids.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, very, 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 no, that's a very good point. And But yes, then we get to see Boba Fett kick some ass with no armor or blasters. He's just got his, Sand People staff, which I believe is
cool.
I believe it's an act. I can't remember what it's called, but I believe that's an actual, like tribal New Zealand or like the islands over there, like a weapon from over there, if I recall correctly.
It could be.
I'm pretty sure. I remember seeing something about that, which is super cool, obviously. But so Mando's like, oh shit, Grogu's still up there praying, I better get up there. So he runs off and
quick, don't interrupt his prayer.
Yeah, exactly. Which he can't. He keeps getting blasted away and keeps trying over and over.
Yeah.
And Boba ends up killing stormtroopers until he ends up right next to the Raven Crest, which is Mando's ship, and looks at it and you go, don't you mess with my emotions like this. When he just looks at the ship, I grabbed Lisa's arm and I stood up on the bed and I was like, no way. There's no way. Not going to happen. Not happen. No, they can't do this to my poor little heart. So yeah, then a ton more stormtroopers show up, right? And then Mando's trying to fight them up. It's like the epic whole battle. Episode. Yeah. Imperial Sniper Lady, which I feel like she should get. I should know her name because she's badass. I will look that up momentarily. Yeah. Does this awesome dives off a rock and 360 no scopes a dude, and then falls to the ground, and rolls off, and takes out a whole turret battalion by shoving rocks at them and shit. Super cool, right? Things are starting to turn around. There's a ton of stormtroopers, and then all of a sudden, a detonator comes out of nowhere, and the camera zooms in on the detonator. Detonator explodes. You hear a rocket pack, and then a frame shot of green, and then a clunk, and then a stormtrooper slowly turn, look up behind him, and standing behind him is Boba Fett in Boba Fett's armor.
Well, and the cool thing is he's wearing Boba Fett's armor, but there's been a change because he's taken on some of the sand person.
Yeah.
Their clothing that they wear, and so he's wearing it over because it used to be in the original trilogy it was a khaki,
the jumpsuit or whatever,
and now it's this kind of dark robe like thing underneath the Mando armor. Whoa, just so cool.
Yeah. So then we get the most fan service to ever fan service. And it's just Boba Fett in his armor shitting on stormtroopers for about 45 seconds.
Yes, that is correct.
Blasting them.
You are not wrong.
Literally punching them, pistol whipping them, throwing them off, using a propel wrist thing to throw one 8 feet away. We get knee pad mini rockets that get shooting off. Grabs a guy and snaps his neck while spinning into another guy to punch him. Just epic battle scene. Just
right.
Yeah. I had to pause the show and go rub one out real quick. There's just, God, that was badass.
It was a great battle. It unfortunately it ends with a little bit of a bad thing because now Mando joins the fight.
Correct.
So they're all fighting together. They're fighting. And I mean, it's just waves and waves of stormtroopers. Well, then they send in the dark troopers, which they have removed the human element, which was the weakest part of the dark troopers. So they're fully robotic. They fly in, they capture Baby Yoda, and they take off. And Mando's like, Boba Fett proves to Mando that it's his armor. He pulls up this thing with all these glyphs on it that says, hey, here's my name.
This does belong to me.
Suck on that.
Yeah. Also, they blow up the Raven Crest.
Oh, yes.
Mando's ship, which has been through so much and rebuilt 3 times during this 2 seasons, gets completely blown to bits and smothered in front of us, and that broke my heart.
But then he gets to ride on Slave One because Boba Fett's like, hey, this is, we're with you until you get the Foundling back.
Yeah. Real quick before I say the other fan service thing, was that this episode or was that the later one with the blast from Slave One? With the TIE fighters chasing him. I think that was in the episode. Was it in the other episode? Okay. You're right. They couldn't have too much fan service in that one episode. You're right.
I think the sound wave thing.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I'll find out. I will find out. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Oh my God. I think it was that other episode.
I think it was that other episode.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to that then. Because oh my God. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, a lot of fan service, which was interesting because it's something me and you talked about earlier with Boba Fett's character. How it was they never had to show he was badass. It was just by his status you knew he was. And this was the moment we all got to go. All right, I get it. That's why he was feared.
Yeah.
Understand now.
Yeah.
He's a big deal. So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Well, and he kind of hints because he says that he's not a Mandalorian.
Correct. Because he's a clone. Yeah.
Because he specifically states, I'm not a Mandalorian. And I don't think his father was a Mandalorian either. I think his father was a foundling, but I don't know if he was ever actually
I think
a
that
Mandalorian.
I believe so.
I think he actually, like the person who adopted him, he took his armor, but he wasn't a Mandalorian, a true Mandalorian.
Yeah. But they followed the code and everything. And in practice they were, but that comes in this next episode a little bit.
Right. So he agrees to help them. He agrees to help Mando get the foundling. They decide that, they figure out that to find out where Moff Gideon is, they have to infiltrate this Imperial base. They go and free the guy that Mando had imprisoned in the first season, who is Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, yep.
Comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Pretty hilarious comedian, actually.
He very hilarious. But I really didn't enjoy his performance in season 1. Like,
not nearly as much as I enjoyed his
he's come out very heavily hating Star Wars and everything it stands for in the past.
Really?
Yeah. Which is why when I saw him in The Mandalorian, I was like, what the fuck? But just I've never seen him as like an actor. So like, it just kind of bothered me that whole episode, which was why this next, which we'll get into it, was like really great. But I was like, man, why is he here? That costume's dumb. He's dumb.
He had great story arcs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In the most
which comes up. Yeah, exactly here. I wanted to throw it out because it's very important for what happens next.
It was a little jarring considering the way he was in the first season.
Correct.
Like, I like the story arc. It was a little jarring because in the first season, he's just like, he's kind of a jerk. Not nearly as much of a jerk as some of the other people on that particular mission, but his story made sense. It was just a little jarring. They go and get him because he can help them get into this Imperial complex. This Imperial complex happens to house very volatile explosives.
Yes.
So, and this is Mando takes off his helmet, but he puts on another one. He puts on a stormtrooper helmet. He refuses to take it off.
Or was that the episode after this? Actually, am I jumping ahead here? Because we see Bo-Katan with Boba Fett. Was that the next episode? That was the next episode after this one. You're right.
I think so.
You're right. Okay.
Because that's when everybody teams up to go and get Moff Gideon.
But Boba Fett, real quick.
So they go.
Boba Fett's got a new paint job on his armor.
Oh yeah,
it's not all torn up. He has gone through the work to clean it and repaint it.
Yeah,
and
it looks good.
It looks good. Another fun little trivia. Which is, it's not like this actor was so and so. This is actually really cool lore wise. So if you notice, I actually picked up on this and researched it. If you notice, the original armor for Boba Fett had gold bars and a lion painted here, which in Mandalorian stands for vengeance, which was him basically avenging his dad who was murdered in front of him. Right. He then paints it red, which stands for honoring a parent. So he is not only from being removed from his armor, changed a lot, from obviously having to not depend on his armor, learn who he is as a person, figure out his place in the galaxy. As he says, I'm just a simple man trying to make my way through the galaxy, like his dad said when you met him as Jango Fett, which that had to be really cool for the actor to just like say that line again in that moment, you know?
Right.
But it was really cool to see that, like, this is my dad's armor. It's battle worn. I am, the right hand of Darth Vader. I'm working along with the Fetts. Not the Fett, the Hutts. The Hutts, yeah. And so like that whole thing was just battle scarred vengeance, 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 vengeance. Make me money. I want power. Vengeance, vengeance. And so his time away from his armor, he's changed, matured, and now he has decided to remantle himself by completely painting the armor and now honoring his dad instead of avenging his dad. And I thought that was just a cool, like, what a small little detail. And again, like we talked about, most of Boba Fett's writing has been stuff they don't really show, but does so much storytelling. And just having him paint his armor and move it from gold to red, like that was such a huge story arc that was never told. It was just a painting of his armor. You understood what his character had gone through. And that was one of those little details. I was like, oh, come on. That's so brilliant.
And I'm interested, we'll talk about this in a minute, but I'm interested to see how that's going to play into
something.
Boba Fett.
Oh.
So
anyway, episode 7.
They go to the Imperial outpost. The important piece here is Mando through a series of events, he has to take his helmet off and let people see him so that he can acquire the information that they need to go and rescue Grogu.
Yes, which is a really cool fight sequence on that moving truck with the local terrorists. And
so cool.
Just what, and he gets hit at one point, and you can tell he's like, "Oh right, it's not Beskar, that hurt," you know.
Yeah,
and really goes to town
because you see him stand and expect it to bounce off, and it doesn't because he's not wearing Beskar, and he's like,
right.
Mistakes were made.
I'm done. Because there's been a lot of moments in fight scenes where he just stands there and is like, "I can take this," and just like crawls forward, getting shot a million times. So he's used that's his thing. But a really cool thing was when and then I'll let you tell a story. But I'm sorry, I keep jumping in. But
no, you can go from here.
It's a podcast.
I'll let you.
We should talk. You're right. I'm sorry. But so TIE fighters show up to save them, and then this huge line of stormtroopers, and they brought back the what was the tan ones that we saw in Rogue One, which were super cool.
Yeah,
I remember they brought those ones back, but it was like, it was the only time I've ever was like, yes, the Empire. Like you got excited, you know, like, yay, the Empire saving me, you know, like it was a weird feeling. I was excited to see a TIE fighter come in. I heard the wah out of the distance, and I'm like, oh, they're saved, you know. It was a really cool moment. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think there was also an episode where they were trying to find out where the information was housed, but I don't think nothing story heavy happens in that one. Remember, they're in the canyon, and
I even told Lisa after that. I remember after that episode ended, I was like, that was probably the weakest episode they've had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In this season, because it didn't have a whole lot of it drove it forward. I mean, it's kind of akin to the Ice episode,
correct?
You know, where you know it did drive the story forward. It did some stuff, but it wasn't. I mean, like you could remove it and nothing bad would really happen.
It was,
although the most important thing that did happen in that episode was didn't get out of the shot fast enough guy, which has since been edited from.
Correct.
Did you see that?
I did see that.
So there was a guy who didn't get out of the shot fast enough, so you just see this guy in like a green shirt and jeans as he's like trying to duck around the corner.
So good.
Yeah, and they have since edited him out, which is kind of unfortunate. It's kind of like the in the original trilogy where the stormtrooper hits his head on the thing as he's coming through. I love that. And they added the sound effect, the dunk.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Anyway, so they get the information, but Mando has to take his helmet off. And there's this cool moment where the guy that they had freed earlier, Bill Burr's character, he's like, you find out that he had been involved in like this major battle that had resulted in a lot of loss of life, and that's why he had left the Empire.
Well, it was when, so if you remember, the orders were if the Emperor died. It wasn't just that the Empire, because a lot of people ask the question like, okay, so the Emperor's dead. Why did the Empire lose? Like, they were huge. But so the Emperor had put a thing in place where if he died and he wasn't able to see the Empire exist, everyone was supposed to basically kill themselves to end it. And so what Bill Burr's character is talking about is he was there and a part of like watching the Empire just go, oh, it's over, and murder a shit ton of his comrades.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
For the Empire. Yeah.
Because they were orders.
Because they were orders.
Because that's what the guy says.
Mass genocide of the Empire because the Emperor's dead. They had no say in it. They fought tooth and nail for the Empire, and then because the Emperor's dead, everyone's supposed to just give up and die because he can't see it come to fruition anymore.
Right. And so there's this really kind of cool moment. And anyway, they end up getting in a firefight because Bill Burr's character shoots the guy in the face. He has some really good character moments, and I think he did a good job.
Really good acting.
Yeah.
Which is why I want to talk about that. When he was in the last season, I hated it. This was like such a turnaround for it. Like
it was
just the work in his eye. Just you looked in his eyes, and no other facial expression. Just his eyes, how he changed it. And you could feel the emotion of like going through that and watching all of his friends die because the Empire said they needed to, and then after basically saying that was stupid, and the other guy obviously does the worst thing and makes a toast and for the Empire, and snap.
And then he gets shot in the face. Boom. And so they end up there's this huge firefight. They get out of it, and Bill Burr's character turns to Mando and he's like, I didn't see your face. He's like, because he's letting him know. He's like, yeah.
You did me.
Like, I
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you did me a solid. No, keep going.
Yeah, which was another big.
I've talked enough.
No, never, dude. Seriously. I love your voice, but it was another one of those story arcs for that character, which was so great. Is because when they were bantering at the beginning, all he wanted to do was see Mando's face and make fun of him, and then I'm going to go tell everyone, and you can never wear your helmet again because he knows the code, And so to have it from like, I'm terrified of you. I also kind of hate you for what you did to me. And then they went through that whole ordeal together. And then like he had to show all of his emotions at that table in front of Mando, which he didn't want to because he's hiding this whole like, I'm a big tough guy thing, right? And so like, it's basically like, hey, if you don't say nothing, I won't say nothing. I never saw your face. Like, I respect you.
We can both put our armor back on.
Exactly. We've been through this together. We can both close up and remain who we were now together. Yeah. Really cool moment.
Right. Yeah, it was. And then they end up blowing up the entire base because who was it who makes that shot? Was it
actually
the Empire
Bill Burr.
Lady, or was it?
It was Bill Burr.
Oh, was it? It was okay. Because he's a sharpshooter.
Yep.
Yeah.
From the back of Slave
so he
One,
blows up,
shoots at one of those canisters, which was awesome.
Right. So now they have all the information that they need to go and attack Moff Gideon. Oh, there was a cool scene with Moff Gideon where Baby Yoda is killing these stormtroopers that are coming.
While handcuffed,
and it's just this little, and he's like, and he's just like, and the guy's like, let him, and then he lights up the Darksaber and like holds it to his neck and is like, you know what this is. Anyway, so then they get everybody together to go and attack Moff Gideon to get Grogu back.
Two quick things though.
You have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. Yeah? This is so exciting. I love this. We're in it, dude. This is so fucking fun. I'm loving this episode. One thing I saw a comic where there was 2 stormtroopers guarding that door, and like one of them turns to the other and goes, dude, we make handcuffs for babies. Are we the bad guys?
That's totally true.
Yeah.
They were regulation handcuffs. It's not like they were like, oh, here, let's find this thing.
Hey, Bill, we make handcuffs for babies. Are we the bad guys? That's so good. But also,
that is hilarious.
When they're leaving that base, very important fan service, which we said we would talk about later.
Yes.
Was slave ones flying away, right? Whew, 2 TIE fighters come up behind to chase. Blast, 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 blast. Everyone else is helpless sitting in the back of Slave One, which was cool to see how it worked inside. Like everything rotating around the canopy, right?
One is a super cool ship.
Yeah. And so they're flying off, and all of us internally are going, do it. Like, just...
It's true.
Just do it. We know what you're ready to do. We know the fan service is happening. Like, my heart's pumping right now, just remembering that moment. Flips a switch, the back of Slave One opens, and that classic tube with the yellow lights all around it comes falling out the back and falls towards those TIE fighters. And all of a sudden, it's silence. Boom. and that epic seismic charge sound we heard from episode 2 back in what was 2000 whatever, comes back, and oh my dude, I teared up. Like legitly a tear went down my cheek in that moment. I was like, oh my God, the sound effect, using it again, like it was just, it was so beautiful. Season 2 was just fan service, whether you watched any of the Star Wars movies or if you were a huge Clone Wars fan. Like it was just fan service left and right while telling its own story. Ugh. Beautiful.
I would like to say I shaved my head specifically so that I could go see Clone Wars.
Really?
I've told you that story. I told you.
Oh, that's
story.
Right. You did.
Yeah.
I remember that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I told it a couple episodes ago. No,
that's
my
right.
stepdad. We went to go get a haircut. He was teasing me.
Yeah.
And he was like, "If you shave your head, I'll go and take you to go see Clone Wars." And I was like, I wasn't gonna do it. And then I was like, I really want to go see Clone Wars. Shave my head. And then he was like, I got done and I walked out, and he goes, I was going to take you to go see it anyway. Like, I was like, well,
whoops,
it's done now.
Yikes.
Right. So then we get the epic battle on Moff Gideon's ship. They employ the Dark Troopers. In fact, Mando gets in a fight with one of them, which is pretty cool, where he's like shoving the spear up through his neck. And
barely wins that fight. That was he had to use everything he had.
Every trick in the book. And then, so they flush him out an airlock. Well, these suckers fly.
Because they're not human.
So first... Right. So Moff Gideon and Mando, they have the epic showdown where Moff Gideon's using the Darksaber, Mando's got the spear, and like as the Darksaber is hitting the Beskar, it's like heating it up. And so every time he's holding it,
which was cool because when Ahsoka Tano was fighting whatever her name was, I can't remember the
right.
It didn't do that, which shows you the power of the Darksaber. It
is said to cut through anything.
Yeah.
And where lightsabers, they're like, they cut through anything, but this thing appears to be of a caliber different.
Exactly. Where if they'd held on for any longer, that thing probably would have started cutting. It was starting to heat up and turn red and slowly like dents in it.
Yeah, and cutting through Beskar, which, as we know, is a material that, as far as we're aware, it's only resistant to, but seems to be impenetrable to blaster fire or lightsabers.
Because when Mando was fighting Ahsoka earlier, he held his arms up when she came down with 2 lightsabers, like it was no problem either.
Right.
But Darksaber was really messing up this spear.
Yeah. So super cool moment. Mando beats him. He drags him into the bridge, but now he's got the Darksaber. So he's rescued Grogu, and they're in the cockpit, and Moff Gideon is like, he starts laughing because Mando tries to go and offer the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and
you never want the bad guy to start laughing when he's been beaten. That's never a good sign.
Yeah. And so you find out that Bo-Katan really wants the Darksaber, but the only way to claim the Darksaber, part of it's the reputation.
Yep.
And you want to be the person who can claim the Darksaber through combat. To be the leader, to be the Mandalore, because it is that mantle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then things kind of take a shift, because now the Dark Troopers come pouring back in because they can fly.
Yep. And they're in space as robots, which means nothing to robots.
Right. So they fly in, they open up the doors, and they're pounding down the doors, and we get another great fan service moment. And it just, for a moment you're looking, because they're looking at the camera as the ship approaches, and you see it's an X-wing.
What was your initial reaction?
Oh man,
the second they said, when she went, a single X-wing, we're saved. What did you say?
I was like, yep. You're correct. Yes, you are. You are saved. It was elation. Well, and for a couple of reasons. One, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, it gave us a more precise point to know when this was taking place. Because up until this point, it was kind of unclear. Like it could have taken place. I mean, obviously they weren't the First Order yet. They're still the Empire.
Exactly. It was that in between.
But it's a remnant of the Empire, and we know their power's been broken. So, and this is the Outer Rim. So,
yeah.
Could it be taking place during like a Force Awakens? We don't really know, but so the X-Wing shows up and she says that line, which is, and as soon as she said it, I was like, effing, and I think Lindsay was in the kitchen, and I was like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
She goes, what? I said, Luke Skywalker's about to show up.
I did the same thing when Boba Fett looked at the Raven Crest before he got his armor. I looked at Lisa and I was like, no, they won't. No, I was in denial. I was like, because I didn't want to say yes and then be let down. So I sat there until he showed up going, no, they won't. They wouldn't do that. No, they won't do that. No, absolutely not. My heart can't take it. This is too much. Because obviously that whole episode was just like, boom, feelings, boom, feelings, boom, feelings, boom, feelings, boom, feelings. Like I was on edge already. And I was like, no, they won't. There's no way. There's no way. And then it comes in and it lands. This is your fan service. Go.
And Luke Skywalker pops out, and he does like the slow Vader walk.
Yes.
Through the ship, like very Rogue One Vader. He's not flipping around. He's just kind of reflecting bolts and then chopping the Dark Troopers in half. It's just a very cool moment.
Well, and
I feel like I think
it was cool because at first when he walked out, I'll let you do the scene. It was cool when he first walked out because we're looking at him through a black and white monitor. So you just see a black cloak and a lightsaber with a cloak, right? And then it finally, like, he walks into a hangar and it turns to a camera angle of him and you see black cloak, black glove, and a green lightsaber. And that's when you're
lightsaber.
You're like, oh, they did it. It's happening. This is it. Oh no. Oh, like it was just like you knew who it was.
We didn't see his face.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You knew who it was, but they did it in such a way where you're like, you knew it, but you were second guessing yourself every step of the way. It was super cool.
Oh, see, I knew it. I was like, as soon as the X-Wing came in, I was like, oh yeah, no, Luke Skywalker. This is cool.
I mean, again, I knew it, but I was in denial. I was like, no, that's not happening. It's going to be some other dude. There's no way. No, they wouldn't do that to me. How could they do that? Yeah. Anyway,
so Luke Skywalker destroys all the Dark Troopers. He comes up to the bridge. He asks to be let in.
Russell, the hallway. You have to talk about the hallway.
You do it.
Okay. You sure you don't want the hallway? You just
I don't remember it very well, so you're gonna have.
Oh my! All right.
I don't remember it very well.
So the end of Rogue One, right? A Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We get to see again, just like Boba Fett. Darth Vader was intimidating, and everyone he was powerful, he was terrifying, he was scary.
Oh yeah.
We got that hallway scene at the end of Rogue One, where they're trying to get the plans through, and they turn into a dark hallway, and you just hear the breathing, and then the only light in there is the red lightsaber as he just slaughters all these rebels, and you get to see that badass Darth Vader moment, right? The Dark Troopers are in this long hallway with an elevator at the end.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, it's very reminiscent.
Very. So Darth Vader got his hallway scene. Elevator door opens. Luke Skywalker walks out and has his hallway scene. Where, like you were saying, just bobbing and weaving, slaughtering all these droids. Go ahead.
So here's an interesting thing, too, because that hallway was well lit.
Yes.
So you have this interesting, because if you look at from a cinematography standpoint, if you look at it, you have Luke, who is obviously still in touch with the light side of the Force, and who is a reflection of his father, but has chosen the light side, and his father, who chose the dark side, and who is shrouded in darkness as he proceeds in a killing spree down this hallway, where Luke is encompassed in light.
Where, exactly.
It's very cool.
Where Darth Vader's hallway scene was only lit by his red saber, and Luke's hallway scene was it was all white light. As he's just running through. And then he gets to the end and uses his force to literally implode one of the droids. Just. And you're like, all right, I don't think. That just happened, right? Anyway, then he goes to the bridge. Take it away. Sorry. You skipped over the hallway scene. I couldn't believe it.
I'm sorry. I had forgotten about it, to be honest with you. He gets to the bridge. Him and Grogu have a moment of connection. We finally see Luke's face, which I thought looked fine.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job. Yeah,
I think, and with Grand Moff Tarkin and Rogue One, I thought they did a great job too.
Yeah. But this was a TV show budget over a Disney full film budget.
I feel like they get a pretty decent budget though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh my God.
I feel like Disney's like,
go for it. But it's definitely not, this. But for what it was, I thought they did a great job. It was a beautiful moment. I thought they did too. The music changed with the pace change suddenly when that happened. It was just like it turned from this badass Luke moment to this just like you felt like a little kid watching Star Wars again. Like you just, it was so touching.
Well, and we get a pretty close approximation to when this happened because it's got to be within a couple of years of Return of the Jedi.
I think the final thing was it was like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. I think is what they actually came out and said.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know they had actually come out and pinpointed a specific timeline.
I remember hearing that.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, Luke Skywalker doesn't appear to be much older. He's still young.
Yeah.
And he comes and takes Grogu, and then as he's taking him, Mando takes off his helmet to have a moment with Grogu, which is a big deal because
huge deal.
It is not the way to turn the phrase. But he's built such a connection with Grogu that, this is his moment. This is his moment to connect with him, to let him know. And I think he says to him, it's okay, go with him, go and receive the training that you need.
Yeah.
Basically, and I think it was in an effort to protect him from the Empire, grow and become stronger so that they can't take you and torture you anymore.
This guy can
be protected by
I barely fought one of these things, and this dude just killed 30 of them. I think you'll be safer with him. Trust me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we get the first ending scene with they're kind of standing on the bridge. There's kind of this tense moment where you don't really know what's going to happen. What's going to happen with Bo-Katan and Mando because he's got the Darksaber now. And
surprise, side character is the leader of Mandalorian.
And he's taken off his helmet.
Yeah.
And everybody's seen him take off his helmet.
Which means he can't put it back on, right? Well, I mean, he can for battle, but yeah.
He believed. So, how is that going to impact the show going forward? There's lots of things, are we going to jump forward a few years? Baby Yoda was a big part of that show. And now Grogu is off with Luke.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to say, I'm interested to see where season 3, and honestly, I feel like it was for the best.
Yeah. 100%.
Because now we get Mando kind of cut loose a little bit. He's not restrained.
Yeah.
As much as he was.
Exactly.
And I think leading into season 3, that's going to be a big deal because there's a lot. I mean, Bo-Katan knows where Mandalore is. And now he is connected with other Mandalorians. They've attacked the Empire. They've imprisoned Moff Gideon for how long, we don't know. But there's things moving, and I think things are about to escalate.
Oh yeah. A lot. Well, this is something I'd mentioned when we were talking about season 1, was most of the pacing in Star Wars has been like, this character is pivotal and everything they do changes the entire galaxy. And the cool thing with Mandalorian is he's very much a side character. And it was funny during season 2, he kept accidentally falling into major plot points that would be a Star Wars movie. Did she just drop Admiral Thrawn? And he was like, well, that sounds cool. Good luck. Or like earlier when she's like, I need to get Moff Gideon. He's like, nah, I don't want any of that, dog. I'm out here, So it was cool to watch him walk away from these plot points that got thrown at him. But now that he's got Baby Yoda, is with Luke, that stuff can come forward. And now he is, and actually it was interesting, something you'd mentioned earlier too, was how he started as that side character because everyone just knew Mandalorians, but he hadn't made a name for himself. And as he progressed was him making the name for himself. So I feel like season 2 ended at that moment where he's now that classic Star Wars character where he's very important now. We watched him become that character we're used to seeing. So when season 3 hits us,
right,
like, boom, major plot points.
Well, and so it's kind of, we were talking about D&D earlier, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He started off as like maybe a level 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got his specialty. He's decent enough. He can lay down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we saw him grow into a living legend.
Yeah, a hero.
He's become, he's leveled up several times. He's got the cool armor. He's got a Darksaber and a Beskar spear.
Exactly.
And he's got the emblem now, and his legend is now growing and becoming something to where he's not just going to be known as a Mandalorian, but the Mandalorian.
Exactly.
And I'm really excited. Now, there was that end scene, though.
Correct.
That is also super exciting.
Which we'll get to in just a second. I just wanted to just laugh for a moment. A lot of people talk about, just for shits and giggles, how funny it would be if Boba Fett had boarded with them and he was on the bridge when Luke Skywalker walked in. Like that moment, like,
oh, yeah.
You bitch. You threw me in the Sarlacc pit. like what that moment would have been like.
Oh, man, I kind of wish we had gotten that moment now.
Yeah. Because he would have known exactly who Luke was the second he showed up. He'd looked at the monitor and went, shit.
Yeah. It'd just be like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you.
Because I feel like that would have been Boba Fett. It would have been like, they don't pay me enough for this. Yeah. See ya. Because it would have been interesting because would Luke have tried to kill Boba Fett?
I don't think so. I think Boba Fett and that's that's what starts that really interesting conversation was all the change Boba Fett went through as a person to honoring his father instead of revenging. So would he become a person where he's like, hey dude, like shit was crazy, those huts, right? I get it. We cool. Or would he have like
but it was business.
Yeah, exactly. It's only good business. Yeah. Yeah, it'd have been a really interesting thing to see how that would have went down.
I kind of hope that there is that interaction at some point where we do get that. It would be hard to do because obviously they're limited what they can do.
Exactly.
With Mark Hamill's face because it's Mark Hamill does not look that young anymore.
No, he does
Still
not.
a sexy man.
Truth.
But he is.
And he did they used a couple clips from the original movies, but Mark Hamill did actually do a few of the voice. Luke had like 4 lines there, but Mark Hamill did actually voice it again, which was super cool.
That is pretty cool.
Anyway.
And speaking of Boba Fett.
Yes, go ahead.
We get the end scene. So there's an after credit scene. We see what was his name? I used to know his name. He was the Twi'lek that like first encountered Luke Skywalker when Luke Skywalker appeared at the Hutt Palace. And so now he is the size of Jabba the Hutt.
Huge.
Sitting on Jabba's throne with his own retinue around him. And you just see all these blaster bolts coming in and killing everybody. And then you see Boba like get the guy, throw him out of the chair, and then he sits in Jabba's throne. And you see in yellow Star Wars lettering the Book of Boba Fett. And I at that moment, that was one of the more exciting moments for me because I was like, this is so cool. And there was that question, is this going to be the direction that the Mandalorian goes? Because the title is The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian or whatever the Mandalorian's name is. They mention it, but I can't remember.
Bib Fortuna.
To me, he's Bib Fortuna. Yes, that is the Twi'lek's name. And so, but they've said that the Book of Boba Fett will be a standalone. I think it's a mini series. I don't think they're doing like a full.
I have to look at that. I think it's a full show, because what they're doing is, so basically while Mandalorian season 2 was going on, pre-production for Book of Boba Fett was going on. So while Book of Boba Fett is going on, there will be pre-production for season 3 of Mandalorian. So we'll get end of this year, we'll get Book of Boba Fett, and then 2022 we'll get season 3 of Mandalorian.
Of the Mandalorian.
So we're gonna have.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, but
and then we've got. I'm ready for it. I'm there for it.
Is Ahsoka? Is she getting her own show?
Ahsoka's getting her own show.
Yeah, because there's that whole.
Because she's chasing after Thrawn.
I do want to point out another important point about Admiral Thrawn. There's a scene in the cartoons, which I've seen this, where he was practicing his melee fighting skills against those robot dark troopers, and like hand-to-hand combat, like took down 3 of them like it was nothing.
And I don't remember that, but I do remember them being on the planet where Thrawn was from. And, Thrawn is a big deal.
Big deal, yeah. Which is why when I heard his name dropped and then watched that scene with Mando barely killing one, I was like, excited. Dude, homeboy practiced sparring against these things. That's terrifying.
Yeah. I am super excited to see. And even Moff Gideon, like his costume had changed after the first season to where it looked almost like he was trying to take on Darth Vader.
Yeah, he had that same like shoulder plate,
the kind of control
with
panel.
The cloak. Yeah,
yeah.
The only people you ever see with the cloak are people trying to be powerful like Vader, which is why you see what's his name in Rogue One with the white uniform. He's the only person wearing a cloak because he wants to be as powerful as Vader. And then same thing like you said with Moff Gideon.
Well, and I wondered, like, because Moff Gideon was in that wreck. He freed himself from the TIE fighter, but was he injured in that wreck? And then he's wearing a similar apparatus to what Darth Vader was wearing. But his costume was very reminiscent of Vader's. And even the Dark Troopers, they look like Vader. So is he trying to clone Vader? Or is he trying to instill like the powers of Vader in himself
and make him interesting, like force himself to
and make himself into being Vader?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
there's definitely those similarities there.
Yeah, and we saw bodies, so we know that he was experimenting with the Dark Troopers. Correct. But he was also experimenting with organic matter because we saw the test tubes, and in those was organic matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the place where they kind of found out that he was experimenting on Grogu, and they needed more material or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's all very interesting too.
Yeah, seriously.
So so Ahsoka's getting her own show, and then there's going to be like a Star Wars Rangers, that one I'm really excited about.
I'm super pumped for.
I'm hoping, and I think we talked about this before. They had a lot of directors for the first season of The Mandalorian, so I think this has been in the works for a while, and they had kind of brought them on as kind of like, we're not ready to start these shows yet, but we're going to bring you on. We're going to pay you a director's salary. We're just going to have you directing different episodes of the show until we can give you your own run.
Okay, here it is. Yes, we got Star Wars Rogue Squadron, Rangers of the New Republic.
That's going to be cool.
Visions, Ahsoka, Andor, and then obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot they were doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi one.
Yeah.
Some of them I'm scared of. It's such a massive lineup. I love Star Wars.
It's intimidating.
But the fandom can turn on you real quick. And Disney does a lot of good things. They do a lot of bad things because they want to grab for cash too.
Exactly.
Don't grab for the cash. You'll get the cash if you put out a quality product. Don't just throw something out there because you know it's gonna make you money.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that they've learned a ton from putting the right people and the money into the Mandalorian, like I really hope they see that as, because if the Mandalorian didn't work out as well as it did, like obviously it would have made a ton of money no matter what. But like it's such a huge thing that people have leached onto because of how well done it is. So I'm hoping they learn from that, which I mean, we've all learned. Disney doesn't sometimes, but a man can hope that they learn from that. And that same, like, I guess the best way I could put is there was a reverence put into what Star Wars is when they made The Mandalorian. As I hope that continues with these other shows. And even if like, one or two of them kind of like, I hope we still get another good one,
And I hope, because I feel like they put a lot of trust into Jon Favreau.
Which, who wouldn't?
And I don't think they meddled too much, or hopefully they didn't, with The Mandalorian. Because that's a thing. Production companies, they'll come in and they'll be like, nah, this sucks, change it. And it doesn't make any sense. So I hope that they pick directors that they trust enough not to meddle too heavily, because I feel like when production companies meddle too much, they screw everything up. It's
the same thing. If any business, you have someone higher up who doesn't actually know, and they're like, hey, my clipboard says you're doing this wrong. Happens everywhere, and it sucks. And I really hope that doesn't happen.
I hope they trust them enough to go, and even if the person in charge of that particular show on like the Disney executive side is like, oh, I didn't really like that. You're one person. You are not God.
Yes.
Do not screw this up.
Don't you dare. Yeah. But also Star Wars fans at the same time,
really cool.
You need to get over yourselves.
That's true too.
It's both sides.
That's true too.
Yeah.
It is. Well, and I mean, with any fandom, you have people that they're not going to be happy no matter what. But I think it's because they fail to understand. You tend to gloss over a lot of things because you love and you have a lot of nostalgia for those shows. Let's be honest. A New Hope, kind of boring.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like if you watch it and you kind of remove that nostalgia lens.
Very boring movie. Yeah. Oh yeah. I tried to get my
almost
kids into
as
Star
boring
Wars by starting there, because that's where I started. And like, half an hour into it, they're like, Dad, just shoot me. Like, I was like, yeah, right, I can see it from that standpoint. Yeah.
Because you're basically following a couple of droids around. There's a lot of talking. A lightsaber gets swung a couple of times. A guy disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and then something blows up. Yeah.
It's a good story. But it's definitely geared towards people who like a slower paced thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of us saw it when we were young, and a lot of times
nostalgia.
the reason we were shown to it is because we had a parent who loved it. And even for us watching it at a young age, I don't remember it, but I'm sure I was like, oh my gosh, is this movie ever going to end?
Right.
But there's a lot of nostalgia. And then over the years, we've come to love it so much that it can do no wrong. It is perfect. But I mean, honestly, it's almost as boring as a Phantom Menace. They almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and it's interesting, like, the term gatekeeping has come up a lot recently, and like that happens in any fandom. You have someone who, if you're a huge super fan, that is totally cool. More power to you. Love it. But it's the fact, like,
come and talk to us. We
love super fans. But when it gets to the point where you forget like why you got into it, and all you can think about is like, I've done this research, I'm here, and if you don't know what I know, you're not a fan. Like, go fuck yourself.
I would put it maybe a little bit more nicely. But
no,
the sentiment is the same.
No, if you're gonna gatekeep because someone doesn't know as much as you do, go fuck yourself.
It seriously is. Like, why?
Yeah.
What purpose does it serve to spew? Why would you put so much hate into something that you love so much?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, like, like Lisa grew up she loves Star Wars too, but she wasn't. as into it as I was. And so when she knew I was as into it as I was, and she was like, hey, I want to get there, like, it was immediately like, oh my God, this is amazing. And like, I just want to
Lindsay's
share.
The same way.
Yeah. Well, it's me and you have that, and a lot of people we've talked to on the show and stuff, like, we have that personality where someone shows interest in what we're interested in. And the first thing we want to do is flood every info we have. Like, this is why I love it. You'll love it because I love it for this reason, right? Like, let me show you all the things. And the fact that there's people out there that'll hear someone go, I want to know more. And their first response is, well, I know more than you do, so I'm better than you. Like, how is your response not, ooh, I'm the guy to bring you into this. Let me do that. Like, I just don't get it.
Let me show you. So there have been a couple of times, because I listen to audiobooks in the car, because we drive down to San Antonio, which is about an hour away almost every day. So we've got like 2 hours where we're in the car listening to audiobooks. Lindsay doesn't listen to them as heavily as I do, but I love it. She'll ask me a question, and I'll pause it, and then I'll go for like 30 or 40 minutes just telling her, okay, this is why this is important, and this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because of this and this and this. And she's like, I really just asked why his shirt was red.
That's the personality trait. And that's okay.
Right.
When you love something, why would you not also love to share it? Instead of, why would you, I can't imagine loving something so much that you like want to not let anyone else love it. Or like you said earlier, how can you love something so much you just hate it? You're like, it's just like, why?
Right.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense to me.
Why would you pour hate into something that you love? They don't go together.
Yeah.
You just create a volatile situation, and nobody wants to.
You look like a dumbass. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's also true.
Yeah. It's just fun. Like, yeah. But people, like, we'll watch a movie with Lisa, and she'll be like, okay, so why is this a thing? And instead of being like, well, I mean, obviously sometimes I go, Lisa, just watch the movie. Because if it explains it in the movie, I'm just going to tell her to watch the movie. But if it's something that, like, I actually know. Yeah, you remember that? Lisa, just watch the movie.
I remember.
Or my wife's the person.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, to tell a quick story, we were watching a Western together. I decided it would be really fun to bug Brett the entire movie by asking him questions. And he got so mad at me.
I got so mad.
Because he was just like, just watch the movie, Russell. And at a certain point, I was just trying to find things to ask questions about because I knew it was annoying him so much. Because it was obviously something that was going to come up later in the story, but I'd ask it because
it was
Brett
pissing
was
me off.
Like, shut up and watch the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But like obviously, I'll do that if it's like a major plot point that obviously they're going to tell him, like, Lisa, just watch the movie, enjoy that moment.
Right.
But like, there's definitely times where she brings something up, and I'll pause a movie and like, all right, and pull up YouTube and like deep dive. All right, here's all this stuff, right? Like, and there now and then and thank God, she hasn't gone, wow, you're stupid. Never watch a movie with me again. She digs that, so she can learn more and be really into it too, So it's like, I don't know. It's more fun to be so in love with something you want to just like share it and make other people love it. Yeah. I don't get it. But yeah.
I don't get it either. And that's part of it. I mean, I think it's mostly people that feel like they can be anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain thing that comes with anonymity where people feel unrestrained.
Yeah.
And don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Like, rule 1, don't be a dick, dude. Just stop it.
Also, don't make I'm going to get added for this one for sure. Don't make being in a fandom your entire personality.
I could see that.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff about
D&D.
Well, but you have other interests and you talk about them and have things you're into.
Occasionally.
And well, yeah. I get you. I get what you're joking around with here, but
I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, I know. You. But at the end of the day, like you're a huge fan of so many different things, but you still have other hobbies and things you want to be. And your personality isn't that a lot about D&D. There's people out there that like, they know a lot And that's literally their entire personality, is that I know more about this than you. And like,
fair. I just love. I don't feel like I know a lot about D&D. I just love D&D.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So much
that you should. People, go out there, find something you love and love it. Dive deep into it.
Especially if it's D&D.
Dive deep into it. Deep dive.
Are you done yet?
No, I'm not done yet. But
don't make it where delirious point of the podcast.
Pretty close. But yeah, don't make it where literally who you are as a person is the fact that you know stuff about that. Like, come on, let's not do that. Because that's the people that gatekeep. So yeah, go fuck yourself. All right. Oh, another fun tidbit for you, and then we'll get out of here. Okay. So the guy that plays Moff Gideon, the night before the last episode was going to be released, I guess he has 4 daughters, and he obviously couldn't tell anyone anything.
Yes.
Did you see this? And they all texted him like, "Don't you dare hurt Baby Yoda. I know you have him, you know." And I think he responded to all of them like, "I'm going to kill that little bitch," or something like that was like his response to his daughters the night before it launched.
I feel like I feel like there was an article where it was like up until a certain point he was like, whatever, it's just a show.
Yeah.
It's just a job. Like, it's a job. I enjoy doing it, but it's a job. And then he got that text, and then he was like, "I'm gonna kill that little mother."
Oh no, here it is. Here, my 4 daughters watch this, and obviously the world is like, it's the Baby Yoda show, and I'm never jealous or have any problem with that. But I have to say, 2 of my daughters texted me, and 2 of them called me, "Papa, please don't hurt Baby Yoda. Don't hurt that baby." And I said, "I will squash that little big-eared bastard."
I love that.
That's so
That's
good.
what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, he did so good. So good.
He is a great actor. I really enjoy him in I think everything that he's done, or everything that I've seen that he's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Incredible.
I love it. So of course everybody knows he was I can't remember his name, but he was in Breaking Bad.
Bad, yep.
Took me way too long to come up with that. And I think Better Call Saul too, because he played the same character.
Better Call Saul, The Boys, Do the Right Thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's in The Boys too.
Uh-huh.
Also, he is in an episode. He's in a couple of episodes of Community.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the video game episode, and then he shows up in the Haunted Mansion episode.
Beautiful.
I just recently watched Community, so
yeah, there we go.
Very good actor. Very good actor. I love he plays villains so well. It's the confidence that he's confident in himself and in his choices. Like there's no backpedaling, there's no crisis of conscience. He is and most of his characters and the villains that he's played, they take a course of action. And that is the course of action that they are taking. Like, it's not...
I'm right. I know I'm right. This is the way to do it. And I'm 100% justified in that. So why should I falter ever? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Such a good way to play a villain.
Mm-hmm. So good. Oh, okay. Russell.
Are we done?
We do have an email.
We do. Is it from Les?
It is from Les.
I knew it.
Question, which we both can answer this one.
Okay.
I'll let you go first. What is the most challenging aspect of shoutcasting the Apex/Warzone tourneys?
Keeping the energy level up. That was what was really hard for me, because by the end of it, for those of you who watched like the after part, I think where Elmer and I were just kind of shooting the breeze, I'm just like,
it's exhausting.
Because now you're not in the moment, and like towards the end, like I was just like, I'm fighting to keep my eyes open, because you're trying to come in with high energy to make it fun.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I mean, you're doing that for a couple of hours, and then you're like, man, I feel like I just ran a marathon or something.
And that's just go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm a very not lazy. I like to do nothing. Like
Lazy.
that is
No,
my happy state.
Yeah.
And so being a personality for a couple of hours is like, man, my batteries are out.
Yeah, dude, I hear
I
that.
am drained.
That's regular streaming, man. Like seriously, it's exhausting.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And there's people that like the people that do that full time in like 6-7 hours a day. They're like, go, yeah, happy, hype, positivity.
As you hit your camera.
Yeah, I hit my camera, I guess. I got stuck on my chair. Hello. Yeah, there's people that do that for like 7 hours straight, and I get it. Like when they're like, I end stream and you'll see me just go and collapse in my chair. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm with you 100%. Keeping that, especially with a shoutcast, because you have to be talking fast, talking about what's happening, understand mentally. You're seeing what's happening. And you have to say what's happening, and you also want to make jokes about what's happening to make it entertaining. Yeah, oh, absolutely, man. That's exhausting.
And you would think, oh, you're just talking, but it's a lot because you're paying attention to so many things at one time too, that you're like, I don't even know how you did it with switching back and forth between the different people, because if I had to do that too, but it's a lot. You're trying to pay attention to what's going on, also because I knew almost nothing about Apex Legends.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm trying to learn at the same time.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay. Whew. It's difficult, but it's fun. It's rewarding.
Yeah. That's a good word.
Yeah.
For me, the most challenging aspect of shoutcasting, can I say setting up everything? No.
I think that's valid too.
Well, that's just the whole tournament period, is just setting it all up. But he said the most challenging aspect of the shoutcasting. The most challenging thing I think is mentally telling yourself it's not as hard as it is.
Oh, sure.
And allowing the hardest part is allowing yourself to just enjoy it, because when you just mentally like flow into just enjoying it, then it comes across to the viewer. So yeah, I guess just mentally telling yourself it's not as difficult as you think it is, which everyone out there who wants to shoutcast, just do it. It's really not that difficult.
So is it like the doubt in the back of your head? Like
that doubt in your head, like people do this full time. You're nowhere near as good as them, which I don't need to be. It's a free tournament. Like, who cares? But and that's another. It's telling yourself all that. All those self doubts you got to get over, and then just learning to just enjoy it, so that it can be a good experience for everyone. Because if you're not having fun sitting there talking about everyone else, no one's going to have fun watching you talk about them.
Well, and if you're not enjoying it,
why do it? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just I'd say the mental aspect of it for sure.
I get that with D&D, when I'm DMing.
Oh my God, yes.
Because I'm like, I enjoy it, but there are weeks where I'm like, I don't want to do it tonight. Like, especially because I haven't been able to play in a while.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just want to play. Like, I don't want to, because there's so much prep work, and you're like, you're trying to read, and then you've got to be everybody, because in a D&D session, especially when you're a player, there are other people doing things.
Exactly. Someone else can take over a moment and you can sit back. But yeah, like when you're the DM, you are
always
the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, man.
Yeah. I get it.
I love you.
I love you too. You are sexy, man.
Thanks, man. You're incredible. That's going to be a long episode, folks.
That's a long episode. Sorry, guys.
And probably one of the nerdiest nerd talks we've ever had. Period.
It was Star Wars. So, and I mean, you guys have listened to some of our Star Wars podcasts before, and they are always long.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't think when I say nerdiest, I mean like we nerded out the most, I would say.
Well, there was a lot to nerd out about.
Yeah, exactly. Which was great. I'm really glad. That was so. If you hated this episode, I don't care. That was the most fun I've
had a ton of fun
in a long time. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything from you, buddy, before we head out?
I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. He shirt, she shirt. Buy our shirt. Wear it. Send us a picture.
he shirt, she shirt down by the he shirt, she shirt store.
Yes. Sells.
He sells he shirt, she shirt, sells he shirt, she shirts down by the he shirt, she shirt store.
Beautiful. Yeah. If you do buy our shirt, tag us on Twitter. Send us a picture. We'd love to share it out there and see it. It's beautiful.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
Also,
and don't forget JSGcast for 10% off.
Exactly. And also, every time you share that and tag he shirt, she shirt in it, it makes them a little happier to sponsor us.
That's true too. I would definitely like for our sponsors to like sponsoring us.
Yeah. And it's really cool because you like Audible, huge, super cool. They don't give a shit we exist.
Yeah.
They'd never listened to a single episode of our podcast. If they did, they would have pulled us immediately for our ad reads. That's no joke. When
way to go, Lass.
Oh my God, what's their? I can't remember the show off the top of my head because they rebranded 3 or 4 times. But they were sponsored by Gamerceps, and they knew the same thing. The company doesn't give a shit about you. You're just a name. And so they had their ad reads were ridiculous, and they made up the most disgusting flavors on the planet for their ad reads, And so it's just really cool to when you're sponsored by someone who's actually hands-on and is DMing you hey, do you have any more ideas? Or oh, I'm really happy people are buying the shirt. I'm throwing in extra stuff for it. When you have a sponsor that's hands-on, it's exciting for everybody.
It is exciting. And I've seen him in the chat a few times.
Yeah. They're here. It's super cool.
Yeah. Which is a little disconcerting because some of our ad reads. Oh my gosh.
They love the ad reads, I promise you. Which is super cool too. But yeah.
That's good.
he-shirt-she-shirt.com. Go buy our shirt. Or any of the shirts.
He-shirt sells he-shirt, she-shirts down by the he-shirt, she-shirt store.
585 designs, and they will also work with you if you want to make your own custom shirt. Hit them up.
Yeah, they're really cool website. They have a lot of really cool slogans.
Yeah,
definitely some things I have my eyes on
right now. It's very comfy. I like it. Yeah. Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Oh gosh. Oh no.
Every week. I should just write it down and do it for you every week.
I feel like it would probably go a lot better, but then we'd miss out on one of these excellent bits for sure.
Yeah, that's happened to every episode for 91 episodes.
Yeah. drjex0725 on Twitter.
Yes.
I mostly post artwork and stuff like that, and also you will be able to tell when we are streaming this on Twitch, because I usually retweet that.
True.
And the end. Oh, you can find me on the Discord, Jackal7250.
You did it.
Haha! I didn't have to look at it. Yeah. You can usually find me on the Discord. I'm really active in the D&D channel on Just Some Guardians. I'm also pretty active in ELMMERFUDD games. It's been really busy. It will continue to be really busy. So I try to be active in there. I'm not super active though.
Every time I see your name, it makes me happy.
Yeah, I usually comment in RDO and stuff like that because those are the things I play the most.
I like the gaming news discussion's a fun channel where a lot of different stuff gets brought up. It's really fun.
I'll have to check that one out. I've seen it.
Yeah.
NSW one is my favorite.
It's really cool. We have a ton of people that look at obviously AAA games, but a lot of people are really into the smaller studio scene. And so we find out about a lot of games that I probably wouldn't otherwise know about, which is super cool.
Oh, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, check it out.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're pretty cool.
You're pretty fantastic. You know what?
I'm pretty sexy too.
Yeah. You're swelling. Damn it, people like you.
That's another thing I tell myself in the mirror every day.
Yeah. Stop
pooping. And you're swell. And gosh darn it, people like you.
Okay, we just did just pooping together. Stop pooping together. That was beautiful. We are one. All right, folks. We are one. Thank you all for joining us for episode 91 of Just Some Guardians. That's actually insane. We are in the 90s now.
We are 10 away. We are 9 away from 100.
From 100 episodes, Russell. That's a weird feeling.
That is 100 weeks. That is almost 2 years.
Yeah. If we hadn't stopped, we'd be at like
podcast.
170 episodes right now, I think.
That's
crazy to think about.
One hump first. Yeah. Then 2 humps this time.
Yeah. Right foot, 2 stomps. Yeah. Slide to the left. Cha-cha roll now.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Episode 91 of Just Some Guardians. You can find us on Twitter at JSGcast. Link to the Twitter's a way to get into the Discord. Come hang out there. Come talk to us. Tell us everything you're doing. Show your artwork. All that good stuff. We want to hear about it. Ask us some questions. It's all good. You can go to our website, JustSomeGuardians.com, where it is linked directly to our YouTube and Podbean and everything. So all our episodes, if you want to watch the VOD, is going to be on YouTube. You can go to that. If you want to listen to it, you can do it all there. So check that out. The show's everywhere. Look for it. We're there.
Because we're awesome.
Because we're incredible.
Brett definitely didn't forget to cancel the subscription.
Yeah, but also we're everywhere because I put in a lot of work back when we cared and made sure we were on iTunes, Spotify, everywhere. Man, it's work. iTunes.
We were really big in, what was it, Australia for a while?
Egypt.
We
were I think we were in the top 20 gaming podcasts for Egypt for like 4 months in a row.
For real?
For real.
They must not have a lot to listen to out there.
I guess. I don't know. We just, we connect with the people in Egypt,
Yes.
Yeah. A lot in common.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, you can email us justsomeguardians@gmail.com. Any questions you have, pictures of you in our shirt, all that good stuff, please do all of that. As for myself, I'm ELMMERFUDD Games. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all those places at ELMMERFUDD Games. Double M, double D.
Double D.
Russell. Dig us out.
Join us next week on Just Some Guardians for utter incompetency and mutual chaos.
Yeah, I just wrote it on the spot. Yeah, I'll go in. I got to do the next part now to layer it over when I edit the podcast. Hold on.
Get that epic electric guitar solo.
Yeah. Here we go.